I think we have all these ordinances. I'd like to see this.
Anything interesting on this? Maybe.
No, Joan had emailed it, and I just printed it off for everyone. It's also in your email server.
Maybe. Is this a 3.3% rate increase? Public?
From what?
Republic.
Republic. 3.3 residential rate.
Yes, 3.31.
Yeah, isn't the one?
Not in front of you tonight.
What?
It's not,
Well-
that's not an agenda item.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
Darla just gave it to everyone.
Yeah, it was included in the packet of all the past contracts with.
Yeah, that's an old one, Mayor. That's
No,
from
this
like,
is, no, this is a new one. Darla handed out an updated one.
yeah, from
It's-
January.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was,
That's the one that just put it in.
yeah, that went into effect in March.
March 1.
Yeah.
It's now being printed.
No, I want you to have it for that though.
Oh.
There wasn't in your packet.
Yeah, that was the one you voted on in March, Mayor.
Who's handling the resolution?
Who's what?
217.
Oh, that was.
That's okay.
That was, and
I'm getting a lot of old stuff here.
that was put in 2017.
it was just a resolution. It wasn't any kind of ordinance.
Everyone ready?
Just about. Ready? This is our regular city council meeting, Thursday, August 19, 2021 at 5:05 p.m. Call it to order and we'll have our pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chief?
Thank you. Bow and join me in giving thanks, Heavenly Father. In these troubling times, we were reminded that despite our arrogance, that you and you alone remain in control of our world. As we face the resurgence of the virus, we thank you for protecting those that have not become sick, for providing mercy to those that were sick, for providing grace to those that are sick, and solace to the family of those that you have called home. We are reminded how delicate the balance is between order and chaos, between civility and rebellion, between community and compulsion. As we move forward, we ask your guidance of helping our leaders find the right balance between doing too little and doing too much, between oversight and overreach, between protection and repression. We ask that you help our citizens find the right balance and understanding between criticism and critical thinking, between rights and privileges, between enlightenment and entitlement. We ask that through your glory that you bring us all together to preserve order, civility, and our sense of community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chief.
Joan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Can't hear you, though.
You can't hear me?
Joan? Hello? No,
Hello?
there we go.
There you go.
Okay, good.
All right, can you hear us?
I can indeed.
Okay, good. All right. All yours,
Okay.
Mayor.
Item number 3 is a public hearing. The Port Aransas City Council will conduct a public hearing on the following: the final plat, 21-2005, a plat of C Mark, Block 1, lots 1 through 10, 8.8414 acre tract of land located in the lots 1 and 2, Block 2042, Mustang Island surveys, map of which is recorded at the Texas General Land Office in Austin. Said 8.414 acre tract being comprised of a 0.63 acre tract described in a warranty deed from TNT Sunshine LLC to Mustang Island Hospitality LLC, recorded in document 20070-12257 of the official public records of Nueces County, Texas. A 0.10 acre tract as described in a warranty deed with vendor's lien from Shirley Yates, FKA, Shirley A. Hart, first successor trustee of the William S. Hart Revocable Living Trust, to Narva P. Patel, recorded in document number 201301846 of the said official public record, and a 0.10 acre tract as described in a warranty deed with vendor's lien from Carolyn Warner and Diane Blake to Mr. Pantel, recorded in document number 20130211713, and of the said public official public records, the applicant is Albert Onigam Blum. Location is 1500 South 11th Street. The second item is a final plat 21, 2006, plat of Moore Harkin, CUD, being a replat of Lot 8, Block 19, State Land Surveys on Mustang Island, Nueces County, Texas, and being the same property referenced in a general warranty deed with Genahan Incorporated, a Texas corporation, to Greg Moore and Athena Harkenmore, recorded in document number 2010188475. Official public records of Nueces County, Texas. Greg Moore and Athena Harkenmore. Property location is 3400 block of 11th Street. And finally, a final plat, 21, 2007, a preliminary and final plat of lots 1 through 7, Block 1, 7C's subdivision, being a preliminary plat of 0.619 acres of land out of Lot 6, Block 110, State Land Surveys on Mustang Island, City of Port Aransas, Texas, according to the plat recorded at the General Land Office, Austin, Texas, and being described as a document of record under document 20210285594, official public records of Nueces County, Texas. The applicant is 7C's Land Partners, LP. Philip Becker, manager. Property location is 500 block of West Avenue G. Okay,
Do we speak now for the side part?
Yes, if you want to,
yeah, if you want to speak on it.
on one of those items.
You knew I wasn't gonna pass this up. Hi, everybody. My name is Kathy Fulton, and I'm at 619 East Avenue B. I just want to say that on the two of them, one of them being the 7C's subdivision lots 1 through 7. Okay, and that's right over here, you know, at cutoff or cutoff G. That used to have 4 structures. Okay, that's what it had at one time. And we all know that those structures got destroyed by Harvey. And we also know that is a very, that's a flood area that, especially after Harvey, proved it can be an extremely great flood area if we are paying attention. So certain things have not been pointed out in this plat, in the whole plat process, but we were told that this is not a common area at the P&Z meeting where their common drive is going to be, but it says here common use. It actually says ingress egress only. So it is a common area, and therefore I don't understand. They're saying, no, these will be individual structures. I don't know how that's possible because it's just showing these lot lines. We don't really see. I mean, it looks like there's all together. And I don't really know what size building you're going to fit in there when the time you do all the setbacks, if it's individual structures. But it seems to me that common area does require some form of a covenant that should have been submitted with this plat, because the city isn't going to be paying to maintain it. The people that live there are. And moving on to the Moore Harkin CUD, proposed CUD out on 11th Street. Now, apparently I'm looking at the wrong location. The location is, I'm confused about that, though. I'm not positive, because the only area surveyed over there was the area I looked at that was all a wetland. That's the only thing that has survey stakes. But the other location, if that is the location, the one before that, then this is going to be a lot of structures crammed into a really small space. Either way, any development over half an acre is required at the time of platting to show that a letter of determination was requested by the Army Corps of Engineers to the Army Corps of Engineers. A letter of determination. It is required in all of our ordinance for anything over half an acre. We haven't been doing it, and we have to stop ignoring these things that we aren't doing that are part of our code. The other thing is that in this one, I do know that on the, especially on CUDs with the preliminary plat, the covenants of the preliminary plat are supposed to be with it on the preliminary plat. Whether we've been doing it or not, it's wrong if we haven't been because we're violating our own ordinances, but we should be doing it for sure now
Right,
because
that's
this has been
time,
getting
Kathy,
us in
3
trouble.
minutes.
So we need to honor what we have in our codes. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, Councilman, Councilwomen, Mayor, Manager. Speaking on behalf of the Moore Harkin Cud, I will address the wetlands first. We did hire an environmental engineer to survey the property back in October of last year, which they determined it was cut off from all natural wetlands. The properties adjacent to it from the north and south drain into 11th Street. The properties to the rear of it is a wetlands that backs into the dunes. And urban engineering, who I work with to do the plats, designed it to where it follows in with the master plan to do all drainage back to 11th Street. In regards to density, we did look towards the future planning and zoning requirements that are being put forth now by the city council. We did maximize lot density. All the lots are close to 5,000 square foot or greater, which falls in line with the future requirements for planning and zoning. We are limiting the size of the structure type to standard piling beach style homes to allow for ample parking. The lots are very deep, so you can have two cars parked underneath and at least 4 cars. I'm sorry, 2 lots parked in the driveway and at least 4 cars underneath. My wife and I do plan to keep one of the lots for ourselves, where we will plan to reside there as permanent residents in the future, and raise our kids that are ages 3 and 5. So we did follow all the planning and zoning ordinances. We did do the wetlands. We did follow that determination. It's into the Corps of Engineers right now. And just wanted to call that out. Thank you.
Sorry, would you please state your name and address for the record?
It's the Moore Harkin Cut.
No, you.
Oh, you're just, your name and
I'm
address.
sorry. It's Greg Moore, and my address, my permanent address,
Yes, please.
it is 334 John Moores Road in West Common, Texas.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Just
sir.
north of it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Council, any questions?
Not till the items come up.
Right now.
All right. Next item. Final plot.
4, Mayor.
I'm sorry, yes. Next item is 4, proclamations and presentation. First of all, we want to welcome and introduce our new game warden, Ben Baker. Come on up, Ben. Let me get a real close look at you.
You might not like it. I don't know.
Well, I want to make
He
sure-
thinks he doesn't need a fishing license. But could you please,
I'm sure we
Could
can
you
find
please
something in there
correct
to
him?
take care
I
of it.
can see you from a distance and I know to throw the bow in.
That's it.
That's it. It's a little shiny. You recognize me. Mr. Mayor, council members, Mr. Manager, thank you for allowing me this time to speak. My name is Ben Baker and I'm the district supervisor, captain game warden for Nueces, San Patricio and Live Oak counties. And I would just like to take this opportunity to kind of introduce myself and kind of reintroduce Texas Parks and Wildlife Game Wardens. I know we have a long history and successful partnership with the city of Port Aransas, and we're very proud of that and very proud of working with the chief and the PD, and not only on law enforcement actions and constituent needs, but also on programs. Last month, we were able to present a boater safety education course. Last year, we presented a couple hunter education safety courses, and we'd like to continue that in the future and offer our services to you. And I'd like to give Mr. Manager a card of mine with my cell phone on it for all of you to have in case you need us or have any concerns from our fellow constituents and the people we serve in your great town and in the county alike. So again, brief, just kind of introduce myself and offer our services to you as far as anything we can do or any needs you have, and feel free to contact me personally. My email's on there as well. And thank you all for letting us be a part of your community, and we're proud to do so.
Thank you. Are you stationed here in the area like Port Aransas or are you?
So I live in Portland,
Okay,
but I office out of Bear Lane and Corpus.
okay.
Yes, sir.
I haven't
Thank you.
seen you guys much in the harbor like I used to.
Yes, in the harbor. So we've got our safe boat, our 29-foot cabin boat at Island Moorings. We don't have it in the harbor, and that's where we fuel. So we don't launch it there anymore. We've got it on a lift. So whenever we were kind of in the harbor, that was probably was most of it. But we have shared some concerns with fellow law enforcement agencies about kind of some maybe some wake issues in the harbor. And so we've been looking at that as well and doing what we can to do some overt patrol and some education on some of those offshore boats and stuff that might be causing a wake. So we've definitely been looking at that and trying to do what we can on that.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
yes,
Well,
sir.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great.
Will I be able to track you? These cars have chips in them. Thank you again.
Thanks, sir.
thank you. Okay, surf rescue. Who has that one?
I'll do it.
Colleen.
Yay.
Hey, council. We thought this was a cool opportunity to highlight our surf rescue team, who is nationally recognized, but it's also perfect timing to introduce you to our new surf rescue manager. So if you guys want to come up. This is Mr. Jackson Roble, and he's taken the lead for the team. And this is Claire Walsh, and she's our head lifeguard, who's been doing a lot of the interim responsibilities before Jackson arrives. So Claire took the lead at the nationals competition for the United States Life Saving Association. They participated on a regional level first, and then South Padre Island hosted the national competition, and our team did really well. For being such a small community, we're competing up against teams that brought 150 guards, 80 guards to the show. And so they held their own. We had Brian Manson get second place silver medalist in the 2K. In his age bracket. We had Isaac Morales get 21st out of his age bracket. It was much more competitive, but I mean, we were on the leaderboard, and Claire and Hannah and Gabby and am I forgetting anybody else? And that's the team all were finalists in their different events, and that's all listed in your council packet, and there's some photos there. So if you have any questions about it, Claire was there. I was at my desk.
Good job.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Great.
Thanks, guys. Welcome aboard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
I don't know if you had any questions for Jackson, but he comes with awesome experience. He's got 7 seasons on a New Jersey beach with 250 guards. He has ski patrol experience. He's got whitewater rafting guide experience. So he's an avid outdoorsman, focused on safety, and he's already got great ideas for expanding our beach safety program.
Excellent.
All right,
Good job.
perfect.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Nice-
All right.
nice to
Thanks,
have
you guys. Great job.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
I want a job where I can be barefoot.
I don't like to teach barefoot in the office all the time.
Wonder why I smelled and walked through the hallway.
Citizen comments. Let's see what we have here. Dale, did you want to come up?
And we'll do the timer thing. 3 minutes, everyone. Appreciate it. Okay.
My name is Dale Christensen, and I reside at 610 Sand Key Lane off of 11th Street. I am a property owner here. I live here full-time. We also own Ragdoll Boutique, Island Surf Rentals, and Tradewinds Vacation Rentals. So I guess I am the lowest form of citizen, as some people may say, because I have golf carts and short-term rentals.
Uh-oh.
So I'm the bad guy. So when I look at what is going on with short-term rentals, my concern is the behaviors that go on, not with short-term rentals, but also the behaviors that go on with permanent residents and also weekend homeowners that come. So I think all of those rights should be respected. You have good guidelines that were put back in 2015 that you wanted short-term rentals to adhere to. I do my best to adhere to them with both signage and parking. One of the different things that we do, and we always did because we own short-term rentals, was go and meet our guests and make sure there are no pets. Now, does a pet sneak in? I've seen it. And we make sure we're not, and they know where to park and they know how to use the trash. And some of the issues that we're having today with a busy season or 2 busy seasons, a lot of our rules that we want to follow are in place. We just need to get better at it. So everybody was doing what they should have done. It's just going to get busier, and I'd like to see some more of those things enforced. I like the idea with code enforcement, with bringing somebody on with short term. It is part of this town and should be done correctly. I'm okay of offending some tourists. If they can't behave, they should be able to go because they're affecting the results and the stay of the nice families that come and enjoy. And it's the behavior we need to change for everybody. If they're here for the day, if they're here for the night, if they're here for the year, for 20 years, that needs to be taken so that we know that this is a good place for families to come and families to come and live. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Sorry, guys. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Mallory Kalaya and I live at 505 12th Street. And I've been out of town quite a bit, so I haven't been to a meeting in a while, but I just wanted to thank all of this council and the mayor for lowering density in Port Aransas. And it took a lot of courage and it was something that has needed to be done. So I just want to say thank you. And thank you also for deleting the CUD ordinance off the books. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Audrey Hall.
Hello, I'm Audrey Hall. I'm here with my husband, Kevin. We reside at 642 Sand Key Drive, and we also own Sand Key Realty, which is a real estate brokerage and vacation rental business. I'll echo Dale. I mean, the majority of the property management companies and people that I know that run their businesses, they want to comply with the short-term rental ordinances. We don't want to get in trouble and we don't want our guests to be unruly. And we have protocols in place when we do have issues, we deal with them. I think that a lot of the problem is stemming from owners who are self-managing, who don't have someone here keeping an eye on things and handling issues when they happen. I don't think their right to self-manage should be taken away, but I think there should be maybe some more focus on those properties and, you know, maybe something that could be done to make sure they have somebody here that's keeping an eye on things. In regards to a limit on the number of short-term rentals, which I've heard and people throwing around a moratorium, I just think that's crazy. You know, people break rules. Most people follow them, but people break rules. Speaking of fishing licenses, kind of had this thing that I was going to bring up. I mean, you have people that catch and keep oversized redfish, right? They shouldn't do it, but they do. There are people that do that. Most people don't, but there are people that do that. Do we ban fishing? Do we limit fishing licenses? No, we have rules that are in place and we enforce those rules. And you guys have rules in place for short-term rentals. And we just need to do a better job of enforcing those rules. We don't need to limit short-term rentals. We don't need to take away licenses or put a moratorium on. You know, the city of Austin already tried to do this and the court shot them down. There's no real evidence that short-term rentals disrupted neighborhoods. Short-term rentals were historically allowed. And the court recognized the fact that the right to rent property is a fundamental privilege of private property ownership. If a home is already zoned for short-term rentals and it can't be one in the future, you're devaluing them majorly. Ask anybody right now that's trying to sell an R1 home. The demand isn't there. It's not. If there was such a demand, why is the Port Streets, subdivision still empty? Why are they having to sell their houses for $400,000 when, ones that can be short-term rented can go for, up to $1 million? There's not as huge of a demand as everybody makes it out to seem. I also think there needs to be more communication with the people who police short-term rentals here with the city and with the property management companies. We didn't get an email about a short-term rental workshop. And I know you say, well, it's posted here on the Jetty and it's on our website, but wouldn't it be helpful to send an email out to all of us and let us know, hey, we want your input. We want you here. We want your help. We don't get any of that. And it's all on us to pay attention and show up. I think if we all work together, we would have, I think we would have, better results. And I just think for trash, if it's a 5 or 6 bedroom house, it should have 3 toters. If it's a 3 or 4 bedroom house, it should have 2, HOAs. They should have, appropriate sized dumpsters and good mini pickup bays.
Thank you.
Thank you. Victoria?
I'm Victoria Spencer Smith, 1901 South Station, number 4 is my primary residence. And I really need to address something that's real important that in our city procedures. And it says, a proposed ordinance may be amended at any reading, but any ordinance amended in substance shall automatically be placed again on the first reading at a subsequent meeting. Amendments involving typographical errors, that forth is fine. But a substantive change or amendment or change of amendment in substance is one which changes the general purpose of the ordinance. And this affected me greatly. I'm a full-time resident and I have an ADU that I rent short-term. Bought the house because someday my mom and dad may need to live in there downstairs. The first reading on 7/15 of this said, allow no short-term rentals and accessory dwelling units, otherwise known as mother-in-law cottages, only long-term allowed. Okay, well, give me a few days to first of all, know about this. Second of all, wrap my head around it on how I want to respond and if I need to respond. And let me get together with my neighbors that do the same thing as I have for 7 years as well and talk to them about what we want to do. Number 2 reading, allow no short-term rentals and accessory dwelling units, otherwise as mother-in-law cottages, unless the property is homestead. Okay, whoa, wait, now I have to live in it full-time. My primary residence and homesteaded. Well, this is a substantial change from one reading to the next. My word. People who are already using an ADU as short-term rental can continue to do so until the property is sold. Oh, well, now I can't sell my property doing the same thing that I'm doing in a short-term rental zone right now that I have been for 7 years that I'm permitted to do. I pulled my original permit, it says 2 living spaces. Well, that's my property, right? So now I'm wrapping my head around this reading. Okay, this is all within a week. Third reading. Allow no short-term rentals and accessory dwelling units, otherwise mother-in-law unit cottages, unless the property is homesteaded. Oh, but people who are already using an ADU as short-term rental can continue to do so for 5 years or until the property is sold. Now that's something totally different. Guys, this requires a new reading. Number 1. From scratch. We need time to respond. This affects me greatly. It affects my retirement. It affects me paying my bills. I don't want someone long-term because my mother and my father may need it next week. And then I have to go through the eviction process to get some, and then, oh, I'm a horrible person because she's pulling the long-term so her mom can live in it. Well, guys, this also affects my sale of my property. This needs to be grandfathered, period. Not until sold, grandfathered, period. You want to do it from any new ADUs, fine, but these readings and my council, it's taken me longer to get my council in line. I meet with them next week out of Austin than it took y'all to pass this. The readings, y'all got to start over. That's all I have to say. Thank y'all.
Thank you. All right.
Hi, my name is Garrick Burnson. I live at 224 East Roberts Avenue. I grew up in Nueces County, and I've been coming to Port Aransas since I was a kid. I remember launching our boat at the boat ramp at Woody's when it still had a giant fishing reel on the roof. And fishing and tourism and out-of-town visitors have been a part of Port Aransas for decades, and I've been a part of that. I started as a tourist in Port A, and today I'm a registered contractor with the city of Port Aransas, and I started building homes here in 2013. I've built long-term residences and short-term rentals. After Harvey, I helped repair and rebuild the homes of local families and businesses, along with many other local Port Aransas contractors. I recognize that there are many passionate people in this community that have been here longer than I have and have raised their families here and had businesses here for generations. And I ask this council to recognize that there is also a large community of residents who own homes and businesses here that are trying to protect their way of life and set a course for their families in Port Aransas for the years and generations to come. I volunteer at Sandfest. I support local organizations like Deep Sea Roundup and Port Aransas Preservation and Historical Association. I'm also a member of the recently formed Port Aransas Taxpayers Alliance. As a long-term visitor to Port Aransas and now resident business owner and member of the community, I think that we have a framework in place in our current ordinances to regulate density, short-term rentals, and parking issues. And I am supportive of development, short-term rentals, and the bright future of Port Aransas. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
Afternoon, John Christensen. I live at 531 Lydia Ann Channel. I have a son named Dale, but that's not him. My Dale's much shorter. A few weeks ago, about 40 of us got together to talk about the changes in the ordinances that were about to be read and voted on. And we didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare what we wanted to do. And I realized that some of that's probably our own misdoing, but I wanted to address just a couple of things. Last week, I had intended to attend the council meeting, but it got on Zoom. And I was born about 50 years too soon. So I had trouble getting logged in and getting on. And by the time I got in there, I was listening to Miss Francesca there, excuse me, Miss Nixon, reading. And one of the things that was read was a petition that had come from Port Aransas Taxpayers Association. And one of the things that I missed was the number of signatures that were on that document. Can anybody help me with that?
There weren't signatures. It was printed names.
Okay.
Which is a difference, but I think total printed names was
300 something.
3 something.
Okay.
Mid threes.
All right.
Yeah, mid 350.
Well, I missed that number, but
Yeah.
I do know that there was a huge number of people who wanted to be at the council meeting to speak so that y'all could hear their concerns. And that didn't get to happen. So I'm not going to draw this out. I just want to agree with the people who take issue with some of the things that are going to affect our short-term rental properties. I have rental properties. I don't have any short-term anymore. I put mine in long-term. So I still share the concerns of many of them, and I hope we can somewhere down the road revisit this thing and maybe come to a little better compromise than what was achieved at the last meeting. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve?
Good evening. My name is Steve DeWitt. I'm with, I live at 487 Mustang Boulevard here in Port A. I moved here almost 9 years ago. I am the owner of Life in Paradise Vacation Rentals, which makes me a lower form of life than Dale because I don't own a boutique or anything. But as someone that lives here and manages roughly over 300 properties, I understand the frustrations of residents very well. And I think that there's a lot of things that we can do together to solve a lot of these problems. I don't think that we're at the new norm. I think the last 2 years are something that's totally out of the ordinary. The amount of people coming to Port Aransas, the COVID pandemic has created a lot of issues, a lot of things. The stimulus money from people that normally wouldn't come to Port A. I think that what we need is a cultural change. And I've done a lot of surveys on the internet looking around to see what other cities do. And I think that there's something that we could do in the form of, in 2015, we did have those rules created for STRs, and I think they're very good. I just think they're hidden. And I think that if you look at our chamber, you look at our websites for the city, a lot of that information is not there. So what I'm proposing, I think we need a code of conduct with a basic card that says this is what we expect of our guests in our town. It's a small percentage of the people that are causing these problems. But again, everybody should be neighborly. Everybody should be, held to the same regard. And I think it's very, very important. Somehow we get that message out. There's on the chamber's website, there's roughly 17 companies that are property managers from 4 properties to over 300. And that group represents 1,800 STRs. That's kind of surprising to me in a way what that is, because I think we think there's close to 3,000 is a number of STRs in Port Aransas. So that leaves close to 1,000 that are either self-managing or whatever. And I'm like Audrey said, we really don't want to tell people they can't do those things, but we've got to understand the dynamics that are going on here. We have a lot of day trippers. We're booked solid from Memorial Day to Labor Day. There's no more room for people to stay overnight here, but they're still going to come. I can tell you, I'm right here by the ferry. So every Saturday night, those aren't STR people that are lined up down the road all the way down Allister. Those are day trippers. And so there's no way we can really regulate them. But I just think that the council should work with us and the city. Let us help you help the community be a better place for everybody.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Come on up.
Hello again, my name is Kathy Fulton and I'm at 619 East Avenue B. I want to applaud this council and the hard work that has been put in to deal with some of the issues that we have been raising for years, not for a few months, for years. And I want to applaud this council for taking action to try to start dealing with the density issue. No one is saying people can't have a short-term rental. Nobody is saying can't build any more short-term rentals. That is not what is being said. All that's been trying to be done here is to try to control some density. There are safety issues that are paramount right now going on, and we need to be looking at the safety issues such as traffic. Traffic is a big deal. Traffic is a nightmare. And most people that live here know it. And especially on a weekend, I don't even bother to leave the island on a weekend anymore. I won't even try. Half the time I don't get in my car, get on my bicycle just to see if I could get to the store and back in one piece. So I just want to applaud y'all for doing something to start dealing with this density. And for the people that didn't know and claim they weren't aware, I apologize to everybody here, but if you weren't aware, you weren't paying attention, because I've been attending these meetings now like religiously practically. It's better than church for me. So I try to keep up to date, and if I can do it, anybody else can too. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Come on up.
My name's Marnie Pate. I live at 211 Trojan Street. I have lived here for 26 years. I have been a real estate agent and broker for 26 years. So I guess I'm pretty low on the totem pole too. Yes, nobody on the council said that you wanted to do away with short-term rentals, but I did see someone on the news say that if they had it their way, there would be no short-term rentals. And that's our livelihood. We're here to protect our livelihood. We're here to protect our businesses. And yes, there are several short-term rental businesses represented here, but it's also the boutiques and the gift shops and the restaurants that would be affected by that. So we do have a cause for concern. I did also read that someone on the council said, well, why have they created an alliance? They haven't been here. They haven't been coming to the meetings at all. We haven't seen them before. We didn't think we had to. We thought that you were protecting everyone's interest, everyone in the entire town, not just the 500 people that voted for you, all of us. So please, when you are making changes, when you are thinking about your ordinances, please include us. Please include those of us that work this 24 hours a day. Please ask for our advice as well. And I agree with the density. I agree that it's a little bit too much, but as a real estate broker, I have to say that the value of somebody's property that is an acre or more has just plummeted. It's not worth what it was now. And so as a real estate broker, I need to come and sit here and listen. I need to help protect my clients' property values. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. We'll move on then to our consent agenda. First of all, item A is our city council meeting minutes of July 15, 2021. Any comments on those?
No. Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve consent agenda as stated.
Second. Call the roll.
Councilmember Seeloff,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Tim Park,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Holt,
Yes.
Mayor Bouillon.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, that takes us to item 7. Items for consideration. Item 7B is a presentation and general discussion from Republic Services regarding summer trash and sanitation services issues.
Come on up, guys. We got Bob Bradley and Mike Reeves from Republic Services. I think we've been working with you guys since 2008, maybe.
Well before my time, sir.
Yeah. So summer woes, a lot of people, a lot of trash.
A lot of issues.
Yeah.
A lot of unhappy constituents.
We're ready for this tonight.
Yeah.
You got more trucks?
New
have
trucks,
answers. We have
trucks
answers.
repaired.
Okay,
If I may,
Give us-
first of all.
Yeah, why don't you jump in, Mike, and
Go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Mike Reeves. I'm the municipal manager for our division, 24 cities that I oversee, one of those being yours. So I am your rep for your city and others in this area. Tonight with me as well, I have my general manager, Bob Bradley, who is over the entire hauling division and the drivers and supervisors that service your city. And I brought him here this evening so he could say a few words as well if needed, or if you have questions, we can answer those operationally. Thank you for this time. I'd like to say, first of all, with the service that we provide for your citizens and you, we are the lowest of the lowest on the totem pole with what we do on a daily basis. And some of you may say, well, Mike, we need you to be here. We want to be there. Hopefully by the end of the night, you'll feel a little bit differently about it. So if I may, I'm not here tonight to make excuses. Your constituents were complaining and blowing up your phones. Valid, understandable. I will promise you this. I'm going to tell you the facts of why. No excuses and what we're going to do about it. Okay? So if I may, before we get to that, I'd like to start with some facts that you may or may not be aware of. In 2014, we ran a profitability model on your city and we did an extension at that time. Residentially, you had 2,444 active accounts that we would service with the blue carts. Currently, you have 3,513. Since that time, you have grown 30%, which exceeds any city growth pattern we've had out of our 24 in that time period. Pre and post Harvey.
Sorry, this is residential, not commercial, correct?
Residential only.
Okay.
Commercially, 2018, a year after Harvey, you lost 20% of your businesses with dumpster service. You can probably think back and reflect on this. Businesses shut down, others had to temporarily suspend. We didn't know how many would come back. If you're curious, as of today, we got the 20% back. Okay? So please take note of that. What I'm getting at is two things. One of our factors for not providing the service as consistent as possible has been your growth on what I just mentioned. We were prepared to service you with X amount of trucks based on the numbers you had in 14 and 18. Now we need to be prepared to step up to the plate with what we currently have. We did not anticipate the growth as that I just mentioned. We can deal with that. We have solutions for that. Number two, COVID does not exempt Republic services. And I'm only saying that because we all oftentimes think about our home and our personal situation and our family and our local business. It affects everybody. It affects every business. We have over 18 individuals currently out because of COVID, the Delta variant. So if that's a driver or two or three, what will that do to our service for you? It's going to impact it. It's going to pose some challenges. We worked around it. One of the benefits you have of a company our size is that we have other resources. We can pull from San Antonio. We can pull from the Valley. So we have done these things to alter our situation to make sure that your residents and your businesses are not impacted. In the last 2 months, commercially, we did not get to recover everybody on a Thursday, Friday, and it went past the weekend. We came in on a Monday, Tuesday. We cleaned up services. We coordinated with your businesses individually and said, while we're here, if you have extra debris, we will pick it up while the driver's here to make up for what happened last week. That memo may or may not have gotten to you. I just wanted you to know. Okay. Capital, parts. Capital means new inventory, new trucks. Every company that has needed a commercial truck because of the chassis waiting on these processing chips, everything's technology based now. Prime example, if you go buy a new car residentially, there's not a lot of inventory in the lot, is there? It's because the new vehicles you're waiting on have a chip that they've been waiting on because of COVID plants to come in. Our orders from last year are finally just coming in now. So we're through the woods. New trucks are on the way in the next few weeks. They've been long overdue and they're going to help. We talked about parts. We have one truck that's been idle in the maintenance shop for 3 weeks because of a part that comes out of one place in the US. It's going to take 120 days for it to get here. So in existing vehicles break down and we can't repair them on site, that's the other issue. So borrowing staff that are ill, making sure maintenance gets on trucks when they do malfunction, because they will. It's wear and tear daily. That's been helping. New vehicles are around the corner that will replenish our fleet. So solutions, looking at the growth going back that I mentioned, we're going to reroute your city. We weren't prepared for the traffic that we just heard this particular season, which is different than other seasons. Every time we go to the landfill, it's 3 hours of windshield time per load. We're averaging 3 loads of garbage per day just on commercial. Do the math on that. So how do we fix that, Mike? We bring in another truck. We have more trucks to take out more of the volume. Residentially, you can imagine, we heard about all these wonderful residents that are here temporarily besides the permanents. Do you think they put out a lot of garbage when they're here? They do. We're going to deal with that. We'll have additional trucks. Mondays and Thursdays are the problem because it's right after the weekend. The short-termers go home and there's a lot of trash. So we're going to look at rerouting a chunk of Monday, Thursday to move it to Tuesday, Friday, or Wednesday, Saturday. That will help fix that problem. And many of you can probably attest to the calls you're getting Monday, Thursday, etc. Okay. Also, when we get to next peak season, we're going to have individual calls with your businesses, the owners. We're going to say, hey, we're getting to Labor Day and Memorial Day. You traditionally up your frequency for peak season because you have tourists. Instead of just expecting them to call us, we're going to be proactive and call them and say, hey, Mr. Jones, you have a 4-yard container at your business going once a week. We suggest you get, or twice a week, I'm sorry. We'll give you an 8-yard container going once a week. Larger container, less frequency. What does that do? It frees up your roads. The less time we're here collecting, the more freedom you have for your pedestrians and the golf carts and everybody else. Does that make sense? So we call this process right sizing your businesses. We're going to make sure they have the right size container for the peak season of the year. Outside of that, that's the why. That's the where we are. And these are our solutions. I will entertain any questions before I call Mr. Bradley up. Is there anything we can do better right now? Please let me know.
I have a question. It was brought up possibility of having a transfer station here. So you mentioned it was 3 hours of windshield time, right?
Yes.
Is it possible rather than driving all the way to have transfer station, would that improve the efficiency?
Yes and no. So the first part of the question is, yes, it would. The no part would be the difficulty in getting that established. There's an agency called TCEQ. TCEQ is a wonderful agency. They watch everything and they make it very challenging to set up these types of stations because right now you have a citizens collection station over there and in their red line tape on that, it's a temporary holding facility. The trash does not sit overnight.
Yeah, but Mike, you just brought up 30% growth and you heard the people in this room, growth isn't slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
So we can either look at doing something like this now or in 3 years after we've dealt with this more and more and more.
Or
Do you agree?
yes, or we add more trucks on our end.
But more trucks is just going to be more windshield time, right? You're not changing the distance that you have to go to Robstown.
If you have 2 trucks having to go twice, you bring in 4 trucks going once, they're not having to come back.
Yeah, we are, Dave, like, and I've been in discussion with you, where staff is coordinating with TCQ right now. They're getting in line for us what it would take to turn the citizens collection station in what would be called like a general transfer station. So we don't know what all the implications are, but it could be pretty lengthy, could be pretty pricey, but we should know that here in a couple
Yeah, I
months.
mean, at least it's something to look into. I
Yeah.
think when you look at the distances, you look at the growth here and you look at the realities. Maybe you could put your trucks on the ferry boat.
We'll be happy to look into it, Councilman.
No,
We'll work with Dave. We can see if those options are there. Yes, sir.
Okay, the other question I have for you is, do you currently, if you're not able to make pickups all around town, do you currently then go to like an alternate day and drop next to the next day? You said you have more resources. So if, for example, Monday you have people out with COVID, you have issues with trucks, do you then come in on a Tuesday
Yes,
automatically?
we do. So within 24 hours of a missed collection,
Mhm.
if that does happen, which is rare, we have to come collect any missed residents or business by 24 hours by the next business day. So in that case, the other routes that are servicing around Port Aransas, they can come in and converge on your city if we don't have a replacement truck or driver by the very next day in
Mhm.
order for us to pick up everyone. That's what we've done.
Okay, and then my final comment, although I do understand all the problems you've had
Yes,
with
sir.
COVID, and I work in the electronics industry, I'm fully aware of chips. You knew that there were 3,513 toters in the city. So, I mean, to claim that that just sort of all of a sudden happened overnight, and I understand it happened quick. And
Right.
I understand it was, but you're getting the dollars from 3,513 toters. So, I mean, I would disagree that that was a surprise of some sort.
That's a fair assessment. My response would be, you and I don't know how much trash people are putting in those carts. So if the number of carts goes up by 1,000 carts,
Trust me, I see it every week.
Yeah, well, the biggest, and I'll jump in where the surprise I think, David, is, we just got the ferry counts from the state this week, and ferry counts for July.
Yep.
2017, pre-Harvey ferry counts were 114,000 vehicles over the ferry. That number was lower in 2012. In 2012, it was about 123,000. So we had more cars in 2012 coming over the ferry than we did in 2017. 2021 July ferry count numbers, 210,000. Double the traffic.
Yep.
And we knew that a lot of Texans were not traveling to Mexico and the Caribbean and South America or wherever they went. And we knew that a lot of people are doing staycations or stay in state vacations. But that number is pretty staggering when you look at that number and then you multiply what's coming up the highway. What that equates to is volume, an increase in volume of trash that probably wasn't predicted, because though the 3,400 toters were there last year, or probably even a high number in 2017, they're only half full, or only one gets pushed out instead of two. So that the number of toters really isn't the tickler. It's how much trash is in them.
Sure. I got a question sorry.
Go ahead, Bruce, and then I'll.
As you jump in quick, just, so Mr. Reeves, what is your quota per, obviously your trucks don't hold 3,500 toters worth of trash. What is the expected fill rate of each toter? Is it 50%, 30%?
the toter
70%?
or the garbage
The
truck
toter.
itself?
Well, the toter, I mean, you basically like, we have 1,000 toters, and, if those are 100% full, it would take 3 dump trucks, but we know that they're not all 100% full. So we base an estimate on 50% occupancy of that toter, or what is it?
So average set out per person, and you guys keep in mind, are twice a week garbage. You're not once a week like most of my cities.
Right.
Twice a week garbage. So on that note, the average should be around 24 to 26 pounds per person per set out.
But I would bet that Monday, Tuesday are quadruple what Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is. I mean, I put out my trash.
Sure.
Tuesday, Friday. My Tuesday trash is loaded. My Friday trash has 1 bag in it.
Right.
So I have a question long-term, right? So obviously, we're not slowing down here.
Right.
So do you have a long-term plan now in place so we're not dealing with this next year and the year after and the year after? I mean, so this will be it. Next year, we're not gonna be in the same situation here.
Right. We've been through a lot
Right. I understand that.
before.
I understand.
Continue to go through a lot.
October is gonna be great.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great, but that doesn't help us,
We're not perfect by any means.
Right, I understand that.
No garbage company will be.
I understand
Pick
that.
up the ball quickly and I'll let Bob elaborate on
Yeah,
it.
so we have seen quite an increase here. And so here's what we've done. We ordered trucks actually last year because we saw this come as soon as COVID was over. I mean, it's been spring break since spring break. I live on the island. I know the traffic, is a lot. But we ordered the trucks we needed. So we have 4 trucks coming the end of this month. We've got 2 coming in October, and I've got 12 coming next year. So they're all supposed to be here by the end of the first quarter. So if I get all my trucks that I'm expecting, we should be in great shape.
So is there a plan if that doesn't come about?
Well, it's coming because I already got, so my trucks are delivering now.
Okay.
And I got 2 of the trucks in this week, so I know they're coming.
But I mean, so
and
you have 12 more coming,
I've got 4, yeah, I've got.
So
I've
are
got
those
2, I
12
got 4
definitely in
more and then
production
12.
already?
These are already.
Right,
yes,
no, but I mean, you
yes.
said you had 12 more,
No, these are already in production.
Okay.
Yes,
They're in
yes.
production.
I've got serial numbers. and
Okay, so
Body just has to go on the chassis.
Okay.
Yeah, so like Mike said, we're not making excuses. We know we dropped the ball. And we do know how many homes you have and we've seen the growth. I think, the traffic has been, on some days just, if there's an accident on the causeway or something, I mean, the other day it was 7 hours.
Yeah.
And I know the traffic was backed all the way from the causeway to Port. It was amazing. I was sitting at a restaurant for hours and hours and hours, just watching them go by. But we understand the situation and we understand that we're gonna have to step it up.
Okay.
And
So
we're prepared to do that.
one of the things that has been bounced around, especially for commercial, is right now you guys can't do anything before 7 a.m.
Right.
Is to move it to 6 a.m. during the summer. Is that something that would help out?
That would help tremendous. In fact, so.
I mean, I know that's commercial only. It's
Yes. And the earlier you did, so even if it was 5, 6, 7, we would be here as soon as it started. But yeah, that would be a great idea.
I mean, we're only
during
talking during the
summers.
summer months,
Yes,
Memorial Day,
yes,
Labor
during the
Day
summer.
type thing.
And we have
That's what
approved that in the past.
Right, and we've asked for exemptions or changes during the summer months in the past.
Okay.
And the city's always been gracious in giving it to us. But those are the kind of things that, we just need to work together and
And
get
believe
those
me,
things
you'll get the phone calls.
You
won't be out of there, right?
I know, it's better than having trash sitting around.
I
If
agree.
you get out of town,
I agree
those times commercially before the traffic begins is tremendous. In our current contract, we do have the right to petition with city manager.
Yeah, I read the
get
whole
approval.
contract.
We're good. We can do that. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. I really appreciate you guys coming in, being open and discussing it with us, but I really would look forward to making sure we do put the solutions that you said in place. And one other correction I would like to make, you think that you're the lowest form of life on the totem pole? I guarantee you, some of the emails I've gotten, council members here are the lowest form of life on the totem pole, okay? So everybody's comparing themselves, but nah, we got you beat.
We
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thank you guys
Thank
for
you.
your time and your patience and understanding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item C. Discuss and take possible action on final plat 21, 2005. Plat of C Mark, block 1, lots 1 through 10. The applicant is Albert Honigblum, I hope I got that right. Court location, property location is 1500 South 11th Street.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council. I think you guys are pretty familiar with the location. most notoriously formerly known as the Pink Motel over off of 11th Street. So,
I remember that.
I think a lot of us do. I remember it as a teenager. That's how old the dang thing is.
So is it new norm now that we get a legal letter threatening us to do our job with each plat?
I think that you get letters for all sorts of reasons.
Yes, but
that's a
usually not each one from the water manager and from a legal department telling us to do our job.
Well, my job is to just lay out the plat before you and give you details and hopefully answer the questions. So I think we know the site. So we're talking about a approximately an eighth of an acre property that currently the current conditions are 3 lots. Then those lots lie between Whispering Sands and 11th Street. The proposal is to subdivide the property, redevelop it into 4 lots that would face Whispering Sands and 6 lots on 11th Street for residential use. The property is currently zoned TR1, which is how the hotel was previously allowed. The again, it is as subdivisions go, it is a fairly straightforward subdivision as it does divide the lots and they do front on 2 public streets. I know that that drainage has been obviously a hot topic. We recognize that as staff and we know that it's under a higher level of scrutiny. So what I'd like to do is ask the project engineer to come up. Now, keep in mind that these type of plats not only go through not only are typically something of this nature submitted by a project engineer, a registered engineer, but then also is reviewed by our reviewing engineer, again, a licensed registered engineer. So I believe this is Urban, Stephen, if you'd like to come up and kind of address, I'd like you to come up and as the design expert, talk about drainage specifically.
Well, just got a question. 11th Street's not the issue, it's Whispering Sands, correct?
I don't know. What is the issue?
Well, I mean, you're talking about drainage, I'm saying.
When I say that, I say drainage as a whole, not specifically.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not an issue. I just want to try to maybe just focus a little bit more on the drainage topic as a whole.
Sure.
And again, best to do that are the engineers that actually are the experts.
Got it.
Hello, Council. Stephen Grunwald here with Urban Engineering. At the P&Z meeting, it was discussed how planning staff and the reviewing engineer thought the plat needed city codes, but the one perceived hole in the application seemed to be drainage. So I'm gonna basically say some of the things I said at the P&Z meeting and elaborate a little more. Being that the lots in this plat front on existing streets, and you don't need any street extensions or utility extensions, there really isn't a trigger that would cause the need for a preliminary plat. If you were creating internal lots that needed new street extensions to get to them, new utility extensions to get to them, there would have been a preliminary plat submitted with it. But, you know, for this particular plat, we just didn't need one. So it's not that there's a hole or missing information. It's just for a project like this that fronts on existing streets, there's no need to submit a preliminary plat. There will be at some point a set of grading and utility service connection plans that are submitted that will show how the proposed lots will drain and how they'll be connected to the existing utilities. But that's something that's, you know, an engineering set of plans that's submitted later. We'll go to planning staff and they'll submit it to their reviewing engineer. So we'll go through, you know, that process. It's just not part of the preliminary plat. I can say that the proposed development will send less runoff to the existing streets, both 11th and Whispering Sands, than the existing development does. So whatever the situation is, we're not going to make it worse. We should make it better because we're sending less runoff to those streets.
So you already know what the final development's going to look like?
Yes, the owner's actually here and he can probably provide more of those details than
So
I
is that
can.
comment based on like impervious cover changes?
Yes,
or
we're
what?
going to be reducing the amount of impervious cover, so there will be less runoff to the streets. This is
Okay.
basically as simple as
Fair
that.
comment. Thank you.
If there's any other questions that I can answer, I know the developer would like a chance to get up and speak about the project in more detail as well.
Please come up.
Well, I feel sorry for everybody, so I'm gonna take the responsibility. I'm the actual lowest person on the totem pole. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council people, and thank you, Mr. Manager, for the opportunity to speak before you today. My name is Al Honningbloom, and I currently reside in San Antonio, Texas. I've been coming to this island, this wonderful place, since I was a kid, and it's obvious by the gray hair, it's been a long time. Most recently, my family and I purchased a lot at 604 Ocean View Drive to build a personal residence. We're excited to be part of the community, and we're excited to give back to the community. But as the lowest form of life, urban real estate developer, when I come into communities like this, I always like to visit with the community, to learn about the community, learn the likes and dislikes, and as an opportunist, look for the properties that are perceived as being a negative or an eyesore within the community. These don't only create opportunities, but they also give us as infill urban developers an opportunity to improve the surrounding areas. I quickly learned about the Malibu Inn Hotel on 9th Street. I learned about the Pink Pepto-Bismol Motel, the subject property on 11th Street. And I kept hearing consistent remarks about the growth and expansion of RV parks on the island. I quickly recognized the RV parks were part of the local fabric and not a part of the real estate business that I knew anything about. Fast forward, I was able to get the property, the Pink Motel, under contract, and I immediately started our due diligence. I went to visit with the city staff. I visited with the city engineer, and I wanted to learn about the platting requirements in the building code. And to quote you, Mayor Bujan, in a letter we exchanged on September 29th of last year, I concur. Your staff is top of the line. Rick and Nicole did a fabulous job. They didn't always tell me what I wanted to hear. Most of the time, they told me what I didn't want to hear. But they were knowledgeable, they were available, and they were direct on the do's and the don'ts. Y'all are fortunate in this community of size we have here to have people of that nature that are that knowledgeable and that definitive. With the uniform information that we gathered, we acted in good faith and we moved forward with our developments. And we've invested a substantial amount of money in this community. We followed the proper protocol. We went through the approval channels, and we hired what we considered a reputable engineering firm. And most importantly, we listened to the community's comments in the most recent public hearings. With this information, we went back to our design team. We instructed them to devise a plan that would meet or exceed the current code, and to please take into consideration as many of the proposed changes that are now current changes into our plan. Our proposed plan consists of freestanding single-family homes. At the request or recommendation of our engineer, we eliminated 2 sites to create a much more greenfield open environment. We designed our homes to meet the current code of 27 feet. We exceeded the spacing between the homes. We met or exceeded the off-road parking. We reduced the impervious coverage, and we raised, elevating the homes 3.5 feet to create additional percolation if there were ever any cross-site drainage needs. We created side yards and private backyards. We're believers in infill development for green space. Through multiple layouts, we tried to accomplish the 5,000 square foot limit minimum. We weren't able to achieve that goal. However, under the current code of the 30-foot of frontage, 3,000 feet, we've exceeded that limit. We've exceeded those requirements. I'd like to reiterate, before the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, based on current plat and building codes, we received approval from the city staff, a recommendation of approval. We received a letter on June 19th from the alternate city engineer stating that we were in compliance. We received approval letters from all municipal utilities saying that we met compliance. And we feel, in our opinion, we surpassed the threshold of Article 9, Section 212 and 163 by a favorable vote from the Planning and Zoning Commission on June 27th by a vote of 6-1. Now let me talk personally. I feel your pain. I understand the objective and I respect your concerns. I serve in our city government in San Antonio. Growth is a difficult challenge. It's a balancing act. Especially difficult on a charming community like this. It can't be kept a secret at all times. I believe that there should be procedures that we follow. I believe that new growth should be well vetted. But I also believe if the code is followed and the system is abided by, that we rely on the facts to make decisions and we allow the professionals and the experts to lead us through the process. I could understand apprehension if we were here today asking for a zoning change, a building code variance, or we were negatively affecting the neighborhood. But none of what we are doing fits within those categories. We are doing quite the opposite. We are reducing impervious coverage. We're taking a tract that is currently zoned TR1, which is, as you all know better than me, that's one of the least restrictive zoning classification. Allows a motel, a hotel. Allows high density RV parks and subdivisions and manufactured homes. We are not doing that. We're going to create a far lesser use on a piece of property zone TR1 than the code allows. And according to the engineers, our development falls within the master drainage plan of Port Aransas. In closing, I like to say, I think, in my opinion, we've met the code. And I feel that we've gone through great efforts to develop a product that is respectful and less impactful on the community and the surrounding than what is currently there. And I trust you all this evening that you all will make the legal and moral decision to approve our plat as submitted. I appreciate your time. I love your community and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Any questions?
What is it's a TR1 currently, so what will the zoning be?
We're not, this is purely for plat.
Remain as the TR1?
It will remain as
Even
a T-
after the construction of the homes?
Yes. We're not going in for a zoning change. We're just going for a new plat for a use change. And I also encourage, the one thing I missed, if you go by the site today, it's unfortunate that it's a sea of asphalt and concrete. And I drove by every time I come here, it has the optics as a garbage dump. And I think that we can make a huge impact on the community and the surrounding homes with the type of development that we're proposing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I got just a clerical question. He said, and also in their legal letter, it says that the P and Z approved the 6-1, but your intro or whatever says it was a
Right, and I was gonna point that out. That is a typo. He is correct in the.
So it was a 6-1, not a.
It is correct. Was both. And he also is correct and saved a little bit of vocal cord wear and tear on me. All the utilities did approve, as is in your packet, as did the reviewing engineer. Hanson, in this case, was a reviewing engineer and did confirm that the plat does adhere to our codes and ordinances. Therefore, I am left to tell you the staff recommends approval.
A motion to approve.
I'll second it.
I'll get it to you.
Give it to
Mayor has it.
I'll take it second.
There you go.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Tim Park,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Holt,
Yes.
Councilmember Seebaugh,
Yes.
Mayor Beyond.
Yes.
Motion carried.
You have the next one too?
I will take the next one, sir. So this is the discussion, take action on final plat 21-2007. Final plat of lots 1 through 7, block 17C's subdivision. Applicant is 7C's Land Partners LP, Philip Becker, manager. The property location is 500 block of West Avenue G. So this is the property. We'll use iconic landmarks like Woody Jr., Miss Woody's, I mean. There, but it does, is right on the bend of Avenue G / Cutoff Road. This is a subdivision of 1 lot into 7. I think you were, it was mentioned that there are no internal common elements. It is 7 fee simple lots that all do front on, like I said, do front on the street. Again, as subdivisions go, it again, very non-complicated, falls into the major development category.
So Rick, you're saying that existing comment about the common area is incorrect?
There is no common area. There's an easement that allows access.
Okay.
And we actually like that because it does eliminate some backing and pulling out onto Avenue G.
It gives them one entrance. They've agreed to one entrance instead of
Right.
7.
But the lot lines are as in your packet, so they individually own it. They have just granted each other through that easement the right to traverse it.
Is that going to be a plat note? Because if say lot 4 decides that he wants to put a pool in his easement, that means lots 5, 6, and 7 can't
Well,
exit their property.
The language of the easement would preclude that because it is an access easement, so it would
Okay.
remain for that sole purpose.
Sure. I also believe there was and I'm assuming this property, there was a note from Mr. Daly that I guess there was some confusion about, and I was not real clear where he was going with this about a condo.
Mr. Daly was
regime.
confused. I tried to help him understand that it is 7 fee simple lots. He was under the impression that it was 1 lot and would hence fall under the multifamily development and was going down a.
So I couldn't understand where you're going
completely-
with that, and so I.
Well, if it was 1 lot in a condo development, you would have to back out driveways in your density equation.
Right.
Which he was correct in that, but
That's not what
It
it
wasn't the right application to what
right,
was
this
being
this
proposed.
is not one single.
I guess
condo tract.
that's where the confusion was, because I didn't understand where he was coming from, but I thought maybe he found something that okay.
I don't know if we have the project engineer, anybody representing the project. They are not here. So I will point out that again, the utilities that we solicit did indicate their approval, and Hanson, in this case, also our reviewing engineer, did acknowledge it does adhere to our current plating ordinances. The plating ordinances that were in place prior to
changes
last Monday, correct. Planning and zoning approved, staff recommends approval.
Motion to approve.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Seebaugh,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Tim Park,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Holt,
Yes.
Mayor Beyond.
Yes.
Motion carried.
You have the next one?
I will take the next one, Mayor. So this is discuss and take action on preliminary and final plats 21-2006. Plat of Moore Harkin CUD. Applicant is Greg Moore and Athena Harkin Moore. The property location is 3400 block of 11th Street. Let me start by just very clearly and hopefully for the last time explaining our Wetlands Ordinance. Because as passionately as somebody can come up and state things doesn't mean that it's accurate. So let me tell you and give you a reference as to exactly what the wetlands provisions that the city has. 2137, our code of ordinances, is that's what's required on a plat. On that plat, it is a statement that says, I am aware if my property encompasses wetlands, it may be subject to state and federal laws, not local, because we have no jurisdiction over federal wetlands. 25-146 is a long-standing provision in our ordinance that said wetlands is the sole responsibility of the owner to determine whether or not their proposed development activity impacts wetlands under the jurisdiction of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. With Councilwoman Holt's assistance, several years ago, we had an addition written into chapters 21 and 25, which I apologize are not referenced in the Muni Code as of yet. Fran's in the process of updating that. But that provision simply says in both of those chapters, because both of those chapters relate to development, it says that a letter will be sent to the Army Corps of Engineers on any development greater than 1/2 acre. We put them on notice that there's a development going on. I send them a copy of the plat, and that's where it ends. I don't require, the city does not require.
And that's post-approval.
That's after the plat is
Because
approved.
it doesn't make any.
It's moot if it doesn't get approved.
Right.
The idea behind that is, again, we have no jurisdiction over wetlands, nor do we have any expertise to determine that. But what we do have is the ability to notify the authority that does have jurisdiction, carries the big stick, and let them know that there's a development, send them the details, and let them have at it if they feel they need to. So I want to make that very clear. And please, if there's any questions about that, ask me now, because I pointed this out at planning and zoning. So that is what we have on the books as far as wetlands. We're not oblivious to the sensitivity of our environment here, but it's an area that we have no jurisdiction over. But we want the Army Corps to take notice of anything. It doesn't have to be anything near a wetlands or near a pond, anything over 1/2 acre requires we send it off to the Army Corps to do with it as they will. So that's, hopefully we'll get the wetlands issue out of the way. So with that said, the Moore Harkin plat, cottage unit development, again, submitted prior to the changes that went into effect. Although the infamous cottage unit development, it is interesting to note that out of the 6 lots being proposed, 3 are greater than the 5,000 limit that you did set. And 3, although sub 5,000, are only slightly less than 5,000. There was a reference to the covenants. And the issue with providing the covenants, the cottage unit development, albeit now apparently extinct, had a provision that you could go even less than 3,000 square feet if you provided recreational space foot for foot below 3,000, I think to the lowest 2,500 square feet, pretty skinny lot. So if you had a 2,500 square feet, you had to have bona fide 500 square feet of recreational space, which was which was defined. It had to be a volleyball court. It had to be something that was truly recreational. But those were common elements, and those common elements needed to be conveyed so that you would ensure that that couldn't be changed, and all of a sudden that volleyball pit became another lot that was buildable. That was in those situations, those cuts, and we had very few back in the day that I'm aware of. Certainly none that I was a part of in the past decade. That we would have requested the covenants to ensure that those got conveyed because they were a common element. This has none of those. These are, again, to me, I can't speak to why that they chose the cut, probably for the slightly smaller lots and a private road. That's why people usually do a cottage unit development. So let me see where my notes here. So with that said, again, very simply, a subdivision into 6 lots. It is a cottage unit development because there were sub 5,000 square foot lots. Does subject the development to a 27-foot height limitation. And What else can I tell you? Just front on 11th Street. Planning and zoning approved, all our utilities approved. Our reviewing engineer said it does comply with our current,
There were a lot of compliance responses or issues, and then someone said like, doesn't apply. Are we satisfied with those?
Staff was, I mean, it's,
Okay.
those are very consistent with, like I said, what we've done didn't materially affect the nature of the plat.
Is it 34, is that just 3,400 block? Because I had the hardest time finding that place.
Yeah.
It's 3,400.
Is it the
Go
old
way
cart
past
rental?
it.
It's next to, no, it's on the east side. It's next to, near the Meridian property.
What are the gray condos are there?
It's in between the gray condos and the
Correct.
boardwalk.
The great
subdivision.
townhomes.
Yeah, so is it kind of up toward, by the fence? I mean, because the condos are building a pool or something, and then it's the strip closer to, okay.
Yeah, it's strictly adjacent to
There's no
the
addresses on.
great townhome. It's immediately to the north of that great townhome.
No, south.
I'm sorry,
Don't
you're
say
correct.
that.
Yeah, it's
Don't
in
say
between the
that.
gray townhomes and the boardwalk
And the-
subdivision, correct? Yeah, yeah.
See, I thought it was on the other side.
No, north of the gray condos is that tract with all the cattails on it.
Right. And then
Because there's-
immediately to the north of that is under construction, another one that was approved last month. Sure.
And just because I know we're going to get asked this, is the Hammerhead big enough for fire engine turnaround?
It is.
Emergency vehicles?
It is, and it will also receive another fire marshal eye, another
That's
bite
fine.
at the apple with the fire marshal
I know, but
for plan review.
it's going to be something they're going to. Motion to approve.
Second. Call the roll.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Tim Parks,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Holt,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Seelow,
Yes.
Mayor Booyah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is the general discussion from Broadus and Associates on the Harvey recovery.
That's right. Mayor and council, how are y'all? Most of you know me, Leo Wood. Here, gonna give you a quick update. You know, I
Great
kind of
state
keep,
of Mississippi.
that's exactly right. I'm not gonna tell you what part. Well,
But
North
you're
Mississippi,
almost becoming a Texan. You've been here for 3 years.
3.5 years. And I'll probably be
Talk
here
like
a while longer. But hey, we got some positive things happening. I know you want to see something with the Charlie's Pasture Pier, Roberts Point Pier. By September 10th, we'll have the test piles driven, so then we can get the regular piles cast. So it's working. We have 2 more projects
Where you
out
gonna
for
have
bid.
that- Where are you gonna have that? Where are you gonna have that place, that test pile?
Well, they'll be along each pier bed
All right,
to test.
it'll be all 3.
Those are 2.
Two.
The Ansel Brundrett Memorial Pier, that was hard for me to say because I know it by another name, but in the parking lot drainage, we received bids on it the 9th of September. Dock 10 and 3, we received bids on it. And the enhancement to the marina on the 9th of September. So we have projects out, projects under construction, your community park concession stand, your skate park also is under construction, should be completed in November. Your EDA parking is under construction now. So all that's positive. High pressure gas, we're probably 80% complete with it. Should have the distribution system out for bid. I turned it back in, cleaned it up a little bit, so we'll have it out to bid in the next 30 days, for sure. So we've got a lot of positive things going on. We do have some projects that's still kind of in a holding pattern, and I know the chief wants to hear this. Public safety building, of course, is still sitting with FEMA in the CRC, which is their Cost Resources Center. We're gonna give them a little boot, though. We've submitted a letter requesting arbitration again because we're supposed to have had all this information back in March. However, we have not. And same thing with the fire station. So
we were in arbitration. Then the panel said, hey, you guys go out and mediate for a couple months and see if you can get along a little nicer and come up with some solutions. We probably were in that 5 months, and now we said, that's it, we're done with the failed mediation. we want to go back to arbitration.
We
So-
answered every question that they ever asked in a timely manner. And now here we've been sitting another, what, Dave, 4.5, 5 months,
Mhm.
waiting on this CRC response, both projects. So, but we meet with them on a call, as there's witnesses in the room. And some of them are not very pleasant and some are more pleasant than others, but not many. But that's kind of where we stand on the majority and your kind of your main projects. You got any questions? Updates? Y'all see me around here all the time, so hey, flag me down. Let me know.
Keep up the good work, sir.
All right.
Gonna get us lots of money.
Thank you.
Okay, next item. Is an ordinance, item G. First reading, amending chapter 27, public beach. Article 2, beach camping, by deleting section 27 through 50. Recreational vehicles, camping permit required, permit fees established in its entirety. Amending section 2752, camping prohibition, camping prohibitions, to define recreational vehicle parking and performing general housekeeping, providing for severance, reading, penalty, and effective date.
So the first part of this, Mayor, if you let me jump in, is the elimination of 2750. So this is some housekeeping of something that the city passed in 2015, and then it was immediately trumped by the General Land Office because they put the brakes on it because we technically should have, well, according to them, we could only implement that type of rule through a change in the city's coastal management plan. So it would have taken a full-blown update to the comprehensive or the coastal management plan to do that. We didn't do it. We rescinded the camping sticker. And so that whole section is a strike through 2750. Then you go on to the section 2751 is the verbiage for the additional ordinance that you're looking at tonight. And that's the perpendicular parking of an RV on the beach. And just let me read the language real quick. It says recreational vehicles, RVs, whether parked or camping on the beach, must be parked perpendicular to the water's edge. And I would like to add of the Gulf of Mexico in front of that, within the entire city limits, beginning the Friday of Memorial Day weekend and ending the Tuesday following Labor Day.
So I'd like to make one adjustment to
Yeah.
that. And instead of saying the Friday before, whatever we said, to make it the third Friday
Of the month of May.
Yes.
Right, so Tim's addition would say, beginning the third Friday of the month of May and ending the Tuesday following Labor Day.
So if someone has a barbecue pit, that does not fall within this. So if they're pulling a trailer with their golf cart on it, that they're not covered under this. So this is only covering.
This is only covering recreational RVs.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's just a hypothetical dumb question here. So you have a dually pulling a 27-foot fifth wheel, and they're gonna pull in perpendicular water, and that trailer is gonna hang out in the roadway. Is that correct?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I guess you mean if something's parking along the bollards?
Yeah, I mean, so.
Well, they can't be in the parking lot. I mean, just because they're long doesn't mean you can block the roadway. I mean, they would
I
need
understand that.
they would need to unhook and pull their dually off to the side.
Okay,
Most of them do that anyway.
that's fine. Well, I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that's.
Do you talk about signage in here?
Yeah, not in here, David, because we wanted to leave that separately, but I did talk with the judge, our attorney in chief about where we would put signage that would hold up if a ticket was issued. According to all three of them, they feel that if we sign each entryway, and we do have a sign on the entryway, so if we add that RV language to each of those entryway signs, and then sporadically up and down the beach, like we do our glass container signage like that every 250 to 500 feet, that they would deem that appropriate. So I just didn't want to
Okay,
codify
so while
that.
you're updating the signs, can you change it from $500 fee to welcome? to
Yes,
Port
we're,
Aransas?
yes, we're gonna update all that at once.
And Chief, as far as enforcement, what do you think?
Well, part of the key is gonna be staying on top of it, because once they establish and get leveled out, it's a pretty big deal to reposition an RV, so we're gonna try to stay on top of it. The other thing I'd like to suggest is we typically have two major events outside of that date frame with spring break and Sandfest, and I don't know if you wanna include the prohibitions during those events also or not, or give the city manager the
Well,
authority to.
the way we
designate
set
events.
up Sandfest, we set up a specific RV camping, and it is perpendicular to the beach.
But there's also camping south of the bollards during that period also is.
Oh, I see what you're saying, during the time frame.
And maybe just add the provision there at other times as designated by the city manager or something.
So, but I mean, is that gonna be enforceable then? I mean.
Yeah, that's gonna be real hard to enforce because you're gonna have to put up a sign, 50 signs every,
Well, we're not planning on taking the signs up and down, are we?
No, but it's way easier to enforce Memorial Day through Labor Day, and then just say everything else is open season.
right, because then you say, and other special times, what are the other special
If
times?
we throw in spring break, and if we throw in Sandfest, now it's like, it's going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It just gets really confusing.
Right. And
It's already gonna
Sandfest
be
normally in the
confusing
spring, but we're
enough.
having it in the fall, so, it just.
I mean, I understand, but I think this is probably just for enforcement.
Yeah, I think
this-
one weekend, if we have people, it's not 4 months.
Yeah, just throwing it out there.
No, we appreciate it. I
Yeah,
mean-
yeah. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we
enforcement's no
start with
different
this.
than anything else, yeah.
And if there's a way you claim as a nuisance or illegal parking or whatever. And you have that right, don't you?
Well, we do that during spring break, we establish, along that barrel line. And we establish that through an emergency order. So,
I think we can probably do something similar to that for spring break, give you the authority, for Sandfest, to give you the authority to. But thank you.
Right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve changes with subject to adding the word Gulf of Mexico and third Friday of
Month of May.
All right, second. Second,
I second.
call roll.
Councilmember Seeloff,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yeah.
Councilmember Tim Park,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Holt,
Yes.
Mayor Villa.
Yes,
Motion carried.
okay, the budget,
Darla,
item H.
So we had our proposed budget workshop last Thursday and went over the budget in detail. There were a few changes that we made to that budget. The van that was ordered like back in November from Parks and Rec is not coming in. We need to carry that forward. So we added $45,000 to the general fund budget that will not be spent in this year's budget. It'll just be carried forward. $7,000 for the mechanic shop for the freon charging machine for the trucks, and then 80,000 added to the harbor for some dredging needs. So there haven't been any other changes. Just wanted to put this on the agenda to give y'all opportunity to discuss any changes that anyone would like to see. If not,
I just have a thing, got an email and someone proposed hot tax allocation. Can you just, for the public, state what we can spend hot tax on? Just a quick 30-second brief.
She did this last time too.
I know what I'm saying, but
Yeah.
just we got new people visiting.
Sorry. No, that's okay. I didn't bring my council goals workshop because there's a whole lot of things that It can be, but it has to be things that are more.
Is it in the budget?
No,
Oh,
it's in our
it's- oh,
council
that's
goals
right.
workshop
Oh.
binder. It's things that are more heads and beds. So it had a minimum of 3% has to go to sales and marketing efforts by state law. So of the 7% we collect, 3% has to go to sales and marketing. Then you can have other things that attract visitors, and that's why they say put their heads into the beds. We have the luxury of being able to spend on a few things that other people in the state don't, such as our harbor, our nature preserve, our piers, our parks. We can take some things because tourists do use those facilities also. It cannot be spent on anything such as code enforcement, police, anything that's health, safety, welfare. It cannot be spent on.
Can't be used
It's
to fix
illegal.
potholes in streets.
No,
Can't be
it
used
can't be
to-
fixed for streets.
Parking lots.
It can be, you could have a parking lot, yes, for people to park their cars and be transported to other places within the town. Public transportation, only things that are moving them back and forth, I believe, from conferences and conventions.
Sure.
But that's kind of a quick overview.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted, just for the thing, we got some messages and said people were unhappy with the allocation or wanted to spend it for more residential
Yeah,
purposes.
I saw that when Bruce and I think they wanted I'm not sure who it was, but I was guessing that maybe they wanted a higher allocation for PAC.
That's not the way I read,
Papaha,
that's not what I read in the message. I read it. They wanted to spend it on, they want a committee of citizens who could allocate where the money got spent, like police
No, I'm
officers.
reading, it just says, I disagree with the lack of appropriation of hot funds. So maybe
So I
they're
just wanted-
generally
Yeah.
not happy with it, or.
Well, it says they want to form a committee, citizen committee to decide where the money gets spent.
Yeah.
So I just figured it's one, people know that our hands are pretty much tied as to what we can actually do with the money, and I just want to get that kind of out there.
They are.
Right.
Okay.
They
I
are
think
tied. I
like
mean,
Dave said, what they were asking for was a change in the allocation. For example, the museum came in and they asked for $100,000 and we allocated 25,000 in the budget.
Mhm.
So they were.
I'm
asking-
guessing it was he's with one of those groups, but I'm guessing,
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't
know.
recognize the name.
It just says I propose that the public at
Joseph.
large be allowed to issue suggestions or projects
I didn't
and
see that.
improvements to
Yeah.
the town that would mutually satisfy the spending requirements of this money as well as provide civic improvements for residents.
See, that's where I got, that was not
Mhm.
for any kind of
Yeah.
Yeah,
civic
maybe
organization. That
Citizens and
was,
city government should work toward
Right now,
mutual
the
benefit
unspent
using tax
pot
spending.
tax is going into a fund, correct? It's
Correct,
Currently
yes.
at $9 million.
Yes.
Mhm.
And what-
Right. We
what
have
are you
hotel.
planning on that?
Mhm.
Well, I mean, we have a 67-acre marina that's probably about 25 million. That, that's out
That's the
there.
additional one.
Yeah, that would be a brand new one. So
So is
there
that
there are some,
a stated intent anywhere? in the city
that has been in
plan?
the city's
In our-
capital improvement
Mhm.
plan.
In the budget, in the final budget every year, there's a capital improvement plan that is placed in there, and that has been in there since I have been here.
Yeah, it's been in there
And-
for 25 years.
Mhm. It keeps getting carried forward, of course. I mean,
So that money could disappear in a day if you
if we were gonna do that
needed
project.
to.
But it doesn't go anywhere. It sits in the bank. It earns interest. It does help support the nature preserve, the things that I stated that we already do have, the piers, our Hurricane Harvey recovery, any of the infrastructure that is eligible for hotel motel dollars, that's where we take that match from and not from the general
Could I
fund.
ask what would the objection be to give more funds? And I'm not saying the entire amount to, for example, the museum or to the art center from any other members of the council. What would your objection be?
my personally, I'd like to see what they're using money for before, give them a year, and then next year y'all can give them as much as you want. I'd like to see how they use it first before you just write them a big check. Because I think we had the Chamber of Commerce said that if they're going to do buying magazine ads or whatever, you would like them to go through them, so we're not overspending or spending twice on the same magazine, promoting the same things.
So you're looking for proof of performance, basically?
Correct. And this is not something I know we normally give them a little bit of money to some organizations, but not huge sums. So,
The Arts Center, we have been giving money to. It used to be $1,500 a year.
yeah.
The budget year that we're currently in now, it was raised to 20. And we've not been given it at the theater previously or necessarily the pop-up.
Did we get any feedback from the art center? for
They,
example?
they will be providing us kind of a mini audit at the close of this budget season, which is into September.
And we are going to get together and come up with some measurement parameters for all of those organizations so that we know how that money is being spent and if it's going to be put to good use for
And
the
just
next
so
year.
everyone knows, the state does dictate what nonprofits we can give to, and it is the arts only. So
Right.
it's not that we don't want to give to the Friends of the Ark or any other, organization. The state does dictate which organizations we can give to. And it
They
is
do, and the maximum percentage of what
Yeah.
you earn
But
that
those
you can
fall
give to
within
them.
it, the
They do,
theater,
yeah.
the arts.
Yes, the arts and history.
Yeah, so that just people know why we aren't giving to other
It's not the Boy
very worthy
Scouts.
organizations in
Right.
town. So.
Right, it has to be ones that qualify and those three do. So, but if there's any changes that anybody wants to make, we will be having a public hearing on the budget and its final passage will be at a meeting on September 7th. So you can still make changes that night before it's passed. But this is opportunities, is consensus if you want anything changed.
The only other concern I had in the entire budget was the emergency EMS freeze on that, I believe. It was cost of
remember?
living freeze.
I have rewritten my letter that I put in the budget, and I probably should have characterized this way. We talked about pulling the EMS out of the pay scale and putting them in their own pay scale,
Right.
just as we did with police officers back in, I don't remember what year that was, 2011, we started an office, a pay scale for our officers. We believe that the EMS needs to go more towards a market-based, and eventually our whole plan probably needs to go more towards a market-based. But right now in step and grade, our EMS has gotten to where they are not comparable with the rest of the market, especially at the EMT level. And so I rewrote my letter to say that there was an adjustment to the pay scale based on cost of living.
Sure.
It's not necessarily a cost of living that all of our employees are getting. We adjusted the pay scale based on the cost of living. We based it on CPI. And we feel like if we were to continue on the route we're on,
Well, we had discussed the large overtime costs there and whether or not we could add some additional people. Could we potentially tie it together where, okay, we could do, if we do add additional people, then we could have the cost of living adjustment on that possibly or something
I
like that. I mean,
still don't think you could at the rate we're at right now.
I think part of the problem is I've had this discussion before is there are so many EMS people because it's so much overtime that's where they make their money. And if we cut them back to less overtime, you have
she
fewer.
just said that the pay scales out of.
They are. So
Yeah, so I mean, the thing that we discussed last time, you weren't here, but we did discuss adding additional people to reduce the overtime, correct?
If we had two more full-time staff, I think right now we're on a 48-72 rotation, 48 hours on, 72 off.
Yep.
I think if we added two more, we could go to 48 on, 96 off.
And that would reduce.
And that would reduce, yes, our cost, but that would greatly impact what they are making now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you talk.
Us not
about-
giving them a cost
they're
of
upset about
living.
Not getting the cost of living raise.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Do that,
you know,
and you're
sort of
really
tie
cutting
the
off
two
the knees.
together, right?
Do that, you really, really hit them in their budgeted pocketbook. That's a big deal. Now, yes, they get one more day off a week. And eventually they may want to, transition to that. The current staff we have, I think for morale, that might be a tough pill to swallow. But I'm just standing here telling you the finances is not done.
Okay. Thank
I'm gonna make a motion to approve as stated.
I don't know if we can take comments or not. but-
Come on up. Name, address.
Mark Wysocki, 512 Lantana. I'd just like to make a suggestion. You heard a lot tonight about enforcement of our ordinances as it relates to short-term rentals. I'd like to see a quadruple the number of enforcement officers in the budget and give them to the chief, okay? Rick is very good at his planning job. I've never seen a city this size anywhere close to it. He's very good. Enforcement in his game, okay? Give the chief 4 more people, not 1 more people. Okay, please.
Thank you.
Motion stands.
Okay, second.
Do they approve it? Is this a?
No, this isn't an approve, but
Yeah, it doesn't require.
No, we don't.
it doesn't require
Oh,
any
okay, so
action
never mind then,
unless you
sorry.
want
No-
to
no
change
action.
something.
No
Yeah,
action.
the vote, public hearing and the vote will be September 7th,
Got it. Sorry.
which is a Tuesday, actually not a Thursday. So on to the next item.
On that.
Okay, it's discussion and action to set tax rate and date for public hearing. The proposed budget was built with a 0.247009 per 100 tax rate, which is the voter approval rate. And you would need to have a public hearing for that tax rate, which would be held September 7th, the same meeting I was talking about at 5 p.m. here in the council chambers, if that is a rate you so desire to go with. It is a tax rate cut from 277,346 down to the 247,009, a rate cut of about 3 cents per 100. Now, this one does require action and it is a record vote
Okay.
for the advertisement.
Why do you feel that we need to cut the tax rate?
That is the maximum tax rate you can actually go to by law. It is
Without going to the voters.
without going to the voters automatically.
Maybe we should go to the voters.
You want to raise taxes, sir?
You,
Maybe.
Okay. That's very unusual of you, sir.
yeah, you're actually a little too late to even probably do that. Because with the new law, the tax rate has to be approved by August 24th. And you don't have time to advertise and approve a rate higher than your voter approval rate
I
by
knew
that
that.
time.
That's why I said.
Oh, good job. Yeah, with the new Senate Bill 5, I think it was, or Senate Bill 2, I can't remember which number it was, that went into effect in the last legislative session, you have to have that tax rate approved by the 24th of August if you're going to go to the vote, because that vote has to be called for the November election by then.
Okay.
So
Anything else?
My motion is to approve the 0.247009 tax rate per 100.
I second.
All around.
Councilmember Seelock,
Yes.
Mayor Tim Holt,
Aren't we supposed to include the date of the hearing on this vote or not?
Amended for September 7th at 5 p.m. Council chambers.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
I guess do I need to re-second then as?
Yeah.
You do need to
I second as changed.
Councilmember Seelock,
Yes, again.
Mayor Tim Holt,
Yes.
Councilmember Tim Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Mayor Beyond.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mayor, can we take a 5-minute
I was
break?
gonna say,
Yeah.
can we take a break?
Go right ahead.
All right, thank you.
Oh,
Francisca, I don't hear anything again. I don't hear anything again. Francisca? Francisca, I don't hear anything.
Oh.
You didn't eat all your popcorn yet? Safe.
I was trying to eat it during the meeting, but I kept feeling people were watching.
That was great popcorn that you gave, Ted.
Yeah.
It was
It
delicious.
was. Whole thing.
Everyone here?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Ready to go? Okay, workshop session, item 8. 8J is a presentation, general discussion on short-term rentals, include but not limited to trash, parking, density, Old Town District, and other short-term rental related topics requested by council.
So Mayor, this is just really, and not so much a presentation, but more of a general discussion item. Just to keep things rolling on the STR that council had requested. So really, it's just kind of a catch-all agenda item for you guys to just throw other ideas out there or directives to staff, you know, things you want us to look at.
David, have we done the Old Town overlay?
We have a resolution that was done, I believe, in 2017. We did it, and I think you guys have a copy of it. It did come with a map.
Yeah.
So this was done in response to the Papaha folks. We were establishing an area to designate kind of a historic district for the purpose of putting up street signage. You know, the brown street signs that you see around town.
Mm-hmm.
That was the kind of the impetus on what this was put out for.
Was it declared a district at all? Old Town District?
It is, yeah, it does call it a district.
Calls it historic Old Town District.
Which is, let me just clarify something. The state of Texas, for zoning purposes, has a historical commission whose job it is to help cities identify what legally meets the state's eyes as far as historic districts. And in about 2009, Papaha and the city put up some funds to hire a Texas Historic Commission employee, someone who comes down and delineates historical districts for legality purposes. So this person came down, did a study, came down for several weeks. They conducted interviews with locals, did research on houses, buildings, structures around town. They were down here for quite a while. They left for a month or so, put together a study, and then returned to the city to give their findings. The findings were pretty definitive that the city did not have a historical district by any stretch of the imagination. That kind of took the wind out of a lot of people's sails to create this historic district. And if you guys are interested, I have that paper and I can send it to you. That was created by the Texas Historic Commission. That being said, years later, the city, there's nothing that prevents a city from saying they have one. And kind of that's what that resolution in 2017 was. Though we say that we called it a historic Old Town district, the legalities of implementing historic regulations are probably not legal. So putting up street signs, however, I don't think anyone cares in the state whether you call a certain street area or that street sign says Old Town Historic District.
And it signs brown or blue.
Right.
Or green or whatever color.
So anyway, that's the kind of the story behind this resolution. It, by no stretch of the imagination, is it a legitimate historic district in the eyes of the Texas Historical Commission.
No, it's just an Old Town district.
It's just something it's homespun. It's homespun, put it that way.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on that?
Yeah. On the Old Town or just anything to do with?
In this, Jay?
I mean,
I think we need to outline what we're trying to do before we put in place solutions, and personally,
yeah,
my comments are, what can we do to address the negative impacts of short-term rentals on the quality of life of citizens of Port Aransas through the creation and enforcement of ordinances while taking into consideration the private property rights of individuals in the city.
That's a toughie.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Well, just so you know, and just for public comment, there is a code enforcement officer and 2 police officers in the budget, so.
Yeah, so David, and I think that's a great statement. And it's definitely a start.
I mean, we need to follow those, I think,
Yeah.
because personally, I don't want to get rid of short-term rentals.
Right.
Personally, I don't want to impact people's property rights, but you have to take into consideration the property rights of the individual. I mean, someone mentioned, I forget, it was one of the lower than scum people, but they mentioned that, their property value just went down. Well, my argument would be, well, once that is built up with very high density homes, what would happen to the property value of the person across the street? It works both ways. So we have to take into account both of
Right.
those.
No, I agree. Yeah. And I think what we're doing now, I think it is a good start. The approval of the additional police officers, the approval of the beach code officer, the approval of an additional code officer. I think it's a great start.
Those have all been done. Yes.
We have another thing that we've done that I think is going to be huge is that 3 weeks ago, Rick put out the RFQ, request for qualification, for the short-term rental compliance registration and management companies. What's our response been so far?
We extended the deadline to 2 weeks from today.
Okay.
The first second, we've done a few demos.
Right.
How many have we gotten in?
We have 3 bids. We have 3 already.
3 so far.
We know we have others, which is why they requested the extension to be.
Oh, so we've actually had companies request.
So I think we'll end up with 5 by the time it's said and done.
Just to be clear, though, that will only take care of people that are not registered, right? So
Well, no, I mean, there's a bunch
more-
of, it really depends on how we set this up. I mean, this thing can be set up to where they actually provide some assistance with code enforcement. Yeah, it'll have an online complaint form. It's going to make the process much more smooth to where the complaints, there's a complaint process for citizens to log on to, file a complaint goes to Rick, goes to PD, it gets logged, then there's follow-up to see if it gets addressed. So I mean, I think that's gonna help a whole lot.
And then what about the other thing is we heard several people come up and speak about, hey, we're willing to work with city council. Well, personally, I'm glad you're finally willing to work with city council to address some of the issues because I've been dealing with the issues of short-term rentals for quite some time. So I am willing to work with you. So what kind of ideas can we get from the management companies? What kind of, what are we doing to work with the management companies right now? Is there any?
Yeah, we are seeing a grassroots effort for some of the management companies coming forward to Rick, and Rick could jump in and tell you, but.
Well, and that, I think that's the message, David. I think we see now that there's some solutions around. I think now what we're seeing is it's rising to the top to where we need to find them. And who better to manage your industry than the very people that are in the industry? And it sounds like there's willingness, and we just need to have that discussion.
Well, I mean, frankly, I'd like to see the willingness and more willingness because I still see the same things going on that we did a month ago or 2 months ago. So, I mean, I don't know if people are changing their ways already, but I mean, there are some important things we could do. It's more presence. And I've spoken to several of you personally offline, but I mean, there are some things that could be done with improving your presence in the community, right? I do see some trucks that drive around very frequently that, have displayed on them, hey, this is my company and I'm the management company. There are other places that I've seen. It's just literally, hey, here's the keys, go ahead in and, they don't come back until they clean. So.
And I know that you guys obviously see the problems are very visible. When there's a problem, they're very visible and you guys see them. I'll follow up offline with how many citations and calls that we make. I say we, mostly Carla, because we hear a lot, well, enforce the ordinances. And I know some of you have been around when we've been dealing with one and you've seen firsthand how long one small issue takes. And so you could throw 20 people at it and you're still going to see the one that's going to aggravate you. But I'm telling you, we've written hundreds of citations. Some of these folks in here, they get them, like we call them, and they're getting the citations.
But once you get to the citation point, it should be to the point where, personally, I think if we could have more action from the management companies themselves to go out and survey the properties and see the boats parked on the lawn, to see the trash overflowing, to see the parties that are going on. I mean, it's not that, again, maybe I'm missing, but it doesn't seem that difficult. You can drive through a neighborhood pretty quickly. You can look at, hey, this place has 30 cars parked in front of it. And I've seen that, okay? Something's going on. So please, go ahead.
You're saying you want us to do this.
Come up.
Yeah, you got to come up, ma'am. We're
Yeah.
gonna speak here.
And do we need a forum? And David, do we need a forum where we get people like this? Because this is not, we don't think you're the lowest form of life. Trust me. Okay. I'm a property owner here too.
Right. And then, I manage a few homes in your community.
Give us your name and
I'm
address.
sorry, Audrey Hall, 642 Sankey Drive. Kevin and I, ever since we started our business, we do drive-bys at night. Our maintenance guy who's on call does drive-bys at night and during the day. You don't know how many times during the day I'm like, hey, I call my office. So-and-so's parking on the lot next door. You need to call them. The trash is overflowing over here. Go get somebody to go dump it. We are very involved. It seems like you think we don't do that. And I can't
I
speak
don't
for.
see it. So yeah, I
I
have to say, I
But
can
I mean,
only believe what I see.
we get tons of, and I mean, I'm not pointing out your company but we get tons of complaints every week about this. Pictures sent to us and nothing seems to happen. So, you guys seem to be proactive, but obviously there's other ones that are not proactive.
And there are some that you have to call a 1-800 number to talk to anyone, and they might be in another state.
Those are the worst ones.
So I get that because I'm an HOA manager myself. I have 3 of them, and sometimes I have to deal with that company, and it's not easy to get in touch with somebody. So there's some fine tuning on some of those things that I think we could.
So what are your solutions? What do you suggest?
Well, we definitely need, everybody needs a local person. And I know on the form, it says who's your person that can be here within an hour and blah, 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 you know, but I don't know if people are really putting somebody that's here or not on that form. I don't know how you can really.
Well, I've worked with great person.
Find out.
What about the people that are self-managing?
And then the self-managing, yeah. But I think we need to have an actual night or day or whatever where we're focusing on is this and these problems, because putting it at the 7:30 at night at the end of a long meeting,
That's
there's
not
nobody
what
here.
this was
Yeah,
intended.
this was not meant, this is.
This is just intended to
This was
troubleshoot
intended
and
to
come
be
up
a
with
discussion.
ideas and strategize.
So
how
maybe
to
one of my
decide.
ideas, let's have some more
Yeah.
meetings
So,
where we
well, I
get.
think that's where we're going with is maybe this is going to call for a public workshop where
Yeah, I agree.
a section of the council members sit down
Absolutely.
and have
That's what we need.
workshop
All the
with
property
y'all folks
managers,
and
yeah.
y'all bring your
maybe you,
ideas. And,
three council members, throw some P and Z members on their staff.
Yeah.
And then invite the public and
Yeah.
STR people and sit down and have,
We should have a defined set of rules,
Let's do
what
that.
we're gonna do first. and
well,
then
why don't we just, I mean, we know the issues, but see what these people have to say first, because we're not going to solve this in one issue. This is not we're going to solve this in one night and come up with the thing. This is going to be like,
no, there's a whole winter.
they're going to want their things, and we're going to want 100% compliance, no ifs, ands, or buts. And that's not realistic. And
That's
they're
why
going to say, we
need
don't want
work-
anything.
That's
And
why we need workshops.
well, that's what I'm saying. So this really what we're going to say tonight is we need to put a workshop together with not just you, but all the management companies, even the
I wanna participate,
self-managed
yeah.
people, and sit down and you bring your ideas and we're going to bring our ideas and
Yeah,
complaints.
I think
And
that's.
we're
a
all
great
gonna
idea.
Do that.
duke it out.
Yeah.
I think,
in the
I think
octagon.
a good strategy would be, let's let Rick and Darla get a couple more, 3-4 weeks into this STR, RFQ management so that they can wrap their brain around that, so that when we get back together with the STR people, we can say, here's kind of a preliminary thing of how this is going to look, and get some feedback from the STR people on how we could maybe tweak it here or there to make it work better for everyone. So let us get a little bit further into our RFQ so that we can wrap our head around it a little bit. Then have Rick and staff set up, if you guys could just right now amongst you, just straw poll, give us 3 people, then we'll run with it from here. And
That'll be perfect, because hopefully we'll have more info on the third-party compliance companies, and we'll be past Labor Day. We really
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
do anything.
No, we
without
can't do
that.
anything.
I think it's a great time to get on this.
Yeah.
Start
I'd like to be
working.
on it, you know.
But I mean, if we are hiring
I will.
a compliance person, I would suggest.
I definitely want to be on it.
well, we
Okay.
can't,
It's
we
a
gotta
weekend.
limit it to 3. So
Okay.
you 3?
That's fine.
It's fine with me.
Okay.
And
Thank
you
you.
and I can go to
Sorry.
the meeting, we can throw paperballs at them and stuff, but
And I think it will take more than one meeting.
Oh, yeah, that's,
Yeah, we can switch out.
Rotate around.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
step
Sure,
up.
go ahead, Steve.
Sure.
Good job. I think that's a great plan.
Steve DeWitt, 487 Mustang Boulevard, owner of Life in Paradise Vacation Rentals. We spend a ton of time in this business, and we live it 24/7. And you can ask my wife, it's 2:30 in the morning. There's a problem somewhere. They're calling. Last time if I call the police, it's the last thing I do. If I think I'm threatened or whatever, but we try to take care of these problems, so you don't hear it. But as Audrey and I both mentioned, I think the problem is with these national companies that have no culture, no presence. They're not here, and they don't care really, because we're just another number to them in Port Aransas. It's not that way. I take a lot of pride in what we do here. My mother ran the company for years, and you'll find me running around at 9 to 10 o'clock on spring break, set my alarm for 2 o'clock because I know Bernie's is going to be closing at 2:30 or 2. We're looking for parties. We're looking for problems because we're protecting these houses, these properties of our owners, but we're also protecting the citizens of Port Aransas as well. And I think it's very important to understand there is a group of us that spend a lot of time trying to do what we can. We want to be a part of the solution. I said earlier, last time I remember a meeting had to be just before Harvey. Maybe 2016, where we were talking about the STR situation, the fee. And I had a developer came to me and he says, we need to make that STR fee 300 a month, 300 a year. Let's utilize that money to bring in code enforcement or somebody. And I don't know if it's the same code enforcement that does a lot of things in Port Aransas. Code enforcement after hours, when it really goes down. I mean, it doesn't happen 8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
That's kind of why we have this additional code enforcement
Yes.
officer going on,
Yeah.
is to deal with the.
And it could be, because you
I
hate
really
to,
think,
but
Steve, maybe you could get together with everybody else and start
Yeah.
putting together ideas for the workshop. And Rick, you're gonna put together, get it, because I think, I fully agree with you. I do take offense to some of the comments that we received on, like, we think that we're not supportive of property owners and things like that. That's absolutely not
No.
true. I mean, I can throw it right back at you. I take offense that you don't give a darn about people that live in the city, because parties go on all the time.
Right.
People are parking in my driveway. I can throw it right back at you.
Sure.
So instead of that, I think if we work together.
those people
okay?
cause us as much problems as anybody else. I mean, this year I've had a gunshot in a house. It was a group of people that we call them, I'm not going to say what we call them, but they showed up. They shouldn't have been here. They rented a house. You can't discriminate. Kicks in the bathroom door, shoots a bullet in the wall, and they take him to jail, and he has like 5 felonies. I mean, these things we don't want either. And it's all, you can look at the parking when you drive around. I can look at it and go instantly,
Yeah.
there's a
that's
problem.
exactly it.
There's a
Within-
problem.
Within 10 minutes, you
Yeah,
can tell.
because I cannot pull up to a place and go, okay, I want everybody standing out on the porch. I'm going to count the numbers. It just doesn't happen that way.
Right. We
But-
can't do that either.
No, nobody can. But what I was saying earlier is we need a code of conduct that from the city, the chamber, the property management people, whether it's on the listing sites that we are promoting, that these are things that are very important and dear to the heart of people in Port A.
Well, I personally would welcome working with the STR management companies in the city and get to an amicable decision.
Sure.
Where we win for everybody, and I think we can.
I think so too.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, so we'll get it rolling.
So back to the Old Town District.
Yeah.
Stay what it is or what?
Well, can we change, if we're here to change it, can I shorten it from Avenue G to Avenue F? If we're making changes? Well, because I don't think Avenue G is really a part of Old Town.
I mean, really, what?
Well, the point,
Yeah, what's it gonna do? I mean,
I think this kickoff is where we should really start.
I agree. So what dates you gonna get so that we don't turn into May and have this?
I mean, we
not
definitely
solved?
got something
We're
in September.
We got 2 weeks to go on the extension of the of the RFP and
Late September?
well, late September, Rick could
Just want to make sure we get the demos done. We don't want to,
Right.
big a deal to rush.
Right, but I mean.
let's do this. September 28th is P and Z. At that meeting, we'll have all the people, at that meeting, we'll set the people, players and timeline into action.
All right. But I don't want to push it off any further than that.
No, it's,
I agree.
but we have to delve into this STR rental thing first.
Oh, I understand that.
So
but
that
I
we
mean-
know.
But I don't
what-
want to get into November and December and then we're.
No. We want to kick it off in September and start participation in early October.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Enforcement, the hiring is gonna occur irrespective of that, right? That one code.
Correct. Yeah. That's as soon as
So
we can get
please
it
just make
advertised.
sure, Rick, that's a weekend position, right?
you know, just, it'll depend on the applicant pool. It's a special person, and I gotta give with chief because they're gonna interact with them, and like I said.
Should that be like a deputized position or
It's almost a law
something?
enforcement person, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be difficult to find that match.
We've got to get somebody on
Yeah,
the
I mean,
weekends.
but I
It's
think
just
it's
not used
highly,
to
highly
municipal other way.
But it's similar to the parking enforcement officer.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll get moving on it.
Thank you.
All right.
So do we need any motion on that? or
No,
anything?
no.
What else?
Registration.
What I do is I like to, I'll table this until the next meeting, but get Nathan here, Nathan, the fire marshal, to actually be here at the next meeting to help us out with that.
Yeah, could we get Nathan to come and describe like what, you know, the fire striping program, you know, something we could get rolling citywide for
I think
multifamily, commercial.
Yeah, he'd probably like to.
Yeah.
He and I have toured a lot, and we know that there's a lot to be done, but he can kind of give.
Yeah, I'd like to get him here, so I'd like to go ahead and I guess table this till the next.
Yeah, that's
meeting,
fine. We'll,
and then get Nathan here on that for that meeting.
Yeah, we'll give him a directive to kind of come up with some ideas, and so when he shows up, he has some stuff to.
Dave, this
Yeah.
procedural table, or do we just say that we're gonna have another workshop next month and bring the same topic up?
We'll have a workshop next month to bring the same topic up.
There you go. Thanks, Fran.
What'd she say? What did she say?
We're gonna bring it up next month.
Okay.
Okay,
Item L, Mayor.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, this came up at the TML and they suggest the creation of message boards for city council and staff. And it allows for communication that does not violate Texas Open Meetings Act. And it also would allow for the availability of citizens to understand when meetings are, et cetera, right? We hear many comments from people that they didn't know when meetings were, that things were pushed through quickly. If we had an online board like this, it would be one central place where council members could communicate with each other and citizens could see when meetings, et cetera, were scheduled and what topics were being discussed.
Okay, well, I actually read through the ordinance and it says that Facebook is qualified, but I know Facebook's been starting deleting
They
messages.
recommended not using Facebook.
Well, I would say,
at TML.
I was about, that's exactly what I was gonna say is.
They recommended creating a message board on the city's website where only council members can comment, but everybody can read.
Sure.
Okay, and again.
I agree. I really wanted that today because I wanted to send something to everybody, but I couldn't
Right,
do
and
that.
You can't do that because that's
Right.
violating the Texas Open Meetings. Even if
That'd be
it's
perfect.
as an agenda item, right? Or, pardon me, in a change in the agenda. And
Right.
It's gonna be in person, it's gonna be remote. You technically can't do
Well, it
that.
said you can't discuss city business on that. So I guess it's a real fine line of breaking the law and like, you know, Joan sees an interesting article, she can send that to us, but if she says, I think we should vote on this issue, that's not. I think that violates. the
David, what
open
would
meeting.
the ruling be on that? From what I got, at least from TML, that would be okay, but I don't.
If it was on a public
If
bulletin
it was on a
board,
public board available to everyone, it would be exactly analogous to.
well, you still couldn't be conducting business.
You couldn't conduct
Right,
business.
right. So if Joan, I mean, you could still get in a pickle
You
if,
could say, hey,
if
here's
there
an
was a
interesting
quorum of
article.
council conducting business on an open air bulletin, you're still in violation of the Open Meetings Act.
Discussing a topic.
Yeah.
Why could we make could somebody on staff take a look at what TML recommends and what they can use it for? and
Yes.
What they think?
I've
I mean-
sent it to Mike Morris already for review.
Okay.
He's got it right now. I'm
Thank
sending
you.
it back to you.
Okay.
I mean, I think it'd be great to increase transparency. This whole workshop thing was taken way out of context. I mean, you know, I got indications that it was looked at as some kind of subversive way that we're going to change STR rules, and it wasn't that at all.
Yeah.
So I think if we could do those kinds of things and get it out in the public, I mean, I think it'd be beneficial.
Right. I agree with you, sir. I just want to make sure that I don't get in trouble legally for something that, you know.
That's why I want this, is to not get in trouble. legally,
Sure.
Yes. So no need to any action on that.
Item 9. David?
Okay, legislative update. I don't know if you guys have been following it, but so the governor called for a second special session. And I think earlier this week, the House passed a call of the House procedural vote to compel absent members to return to the chamber, voted to authorize law enforcement to track down lawmakers. So not sure if they've managed to get a quorum yet, but they're still attempting to get that quorum. A lot of those people have come back into the state. So we should possibly be getting to a quorum soon where the Senate and House can conduct business. Lots of things going on there. Camping ban, which is kind of the anti-homeless bill, basically puts a lot of enforcement requirements on the police of a municipality to combat the homeless camping populations. It does give beaches a pass for outdoor camping if they allow camping in their coastal management plan, which we do. So some additional law enforcement will fall on the chief for people camping elsewhere besides the beach. A lot of the other ones in there, a couple of homestead exemptions by our buddy Mays Middleton is he's looking at a homestead exemption going to 100% of appraised value, and then he has another homestead exemption that would be 100% of the market value of a resident homestead. So basically in the city's instance, we're about 15% of the pie. So for a homestead, I'm not sure what the numbers would amount to, but if basically anyone homesteaded in Port Aransas could get 100% exemption.
That'd be nice, except not nice for y'all.
Well, which would come out of the city's general fund. So watching that one, some of the other ones we're watching, there's a lot
Is
of.
that a new one? Because I don't remember discussing that in the thing. And I know that like we had the anti-lobbying one, which now might come back and bite us.
I think that's new one because I don't remember that one in the regular session.
I don't remember that either. That's why.
Yeah, so that one's, so there's 2 of those in there, a whole bunch of election integrity stuff. It's probably about 7 pages of voting requirements. Too many to read. And what were some of the other highlights? Employers, COVID-19 vaccines. It's there's legislation to it's House Bill 24 that would prevent a business from implementing any kind of COVID standard against their employees. That's kind of an interesting one. So you can't have require COVID passports, vaccines, so you can't punish employees for doing or not doing the COVID vaccine thing. The lobbying issues back on the table. Mays Middleton trying to reenact the anti-lobbying bill, which forces cities to not be able to hire lobbyists. So that one's back on the table. So we are watching all these. We think that they'll be close to maybe getting a quorum and acting on some. Another reminder that TML put out was the governor's March 2020 Open Meetings Act suspensions are lifted at midnight, September 1st. So all provisions of the Open Meeting Act will be effective, and all Texas governmental bodies subject to the Open Meeting Act must conduct their meetings in full compliance with the open. So basically we'll like today, we're back in person, but all across the state, all governmental agencies are to be back in person. So we'll continue to watch the legislature, see if they can get their quorum and see what they're up to.
I did see a report said that they can now, police can arrest them or force them to,
Homeless people?
no,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
the House representatives.
Correct.
So they're gonna come back eventually, whether they want
Yeah.
to or not.
Yeah. Next on my list, comp plan update. So we are back out. We've been back out for 2.5 weeks now on the assistant city manager planning guru advertisement. We've received maybe six
Any perspective?
okay ones, one that's pretty close.
Really? Okay, so.
So
Can you discuss like what you mean by pretty close?
well, city manager experience.
Okay.
A little bit of comp plan experience. You know, I'm looking for a comp plan guru, which, you know, I don't know the reality of that. The last guy was a comp plan guru. This person is a quasi comp plan guru, but they're former assistant or former city manager.
So,
you know, so they should know their way around
I mean, like long-term city manager?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so we're not just like a few years.
No, you know,
Going through.
pretty much a municipal person, admin their whole life. Yeah.
So Dave, I got a question about the last guy. Just, I saw your message. Is it he's never interested in coming back here, or just, it is just not this year or not? I mean, it doesn't, not like I want to stop the thing. I just was, is he never interested in this, or it's just?
You know, we didn't get into it. He's got an ill family member that
Sure.
he's concerned with, and I didn't
understand.
really get into the time period.
Sure.
Other than that, though, so, you know, we discussed the fact, we discussed how we could start moving forward anyways. So, and I'm gonna send you guys some stuff, but we are kind of at step one. Step one in a comp plan is allocating time, human resources, and allocating your money, which you guys have done this budget session. So you've allocated the Parks and Rec master plan open space for outside help. You funded outside help for us for the comp plan. You know, so we have started. On September 28th, we're gonna roll everything out, which is kind of step two, and that's structuring and scheduling the comp plan process. So at the September 28th P and Z meeting, Rick and I are gonna roll that out to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we are gonna start the process of structuring the timeline. That's the next big step. So that's kind of determining, you know, some of those steps is, you know, what roles the public play in the process, identifying your stakeholders, deciding what type of plan you're going to have. There's several different comp plan models. There's about 3. So we're going to figure out which one is the best fit for the city. How we're going to organize it through chapters or through different elements. Your elements might be transportation, future land use plan, existing land use plan, Parks and Rec, you know, economic. So you're maybe 10 different elements of your comp plan. And then deciding how to use your governing bodies, you know, how we're going to use council, P and Z, and the public, and create, you know, various, you know, subcommittees. So we're going to start that at the September 28th P and Z meeting. After that, you roll into your data gathering. And then once you kind of get through your data gathering, you then kick off like a visioning plan. But you need a bunch of data first before you just kick off your visioning plan. You would think that you would do that right off the bat, but you really get through about 2 or 3 steps. Then you bring in your public, do your visioning plan, and then you start to develop your process. So we're not going to wait for the new ACM to come on board. We want to get this rolling so that we can save some months without just kicking the can down the road. So that's our general plan to get things rolling, and it'll kick off at the September 28th P and Z.
Anything else, David?
No, sir.
Okay, how about the county finance?
Have we gotten July numbers back yet?
July for what?
Sales tax.
Yes, they were in your packet.
Okay.
Well, no,
Sorry, I'm
sorry,
talking about
that's
for the
June.
month of July. Yeah.
What is today? No. No, we won't get those till September.
Okay.
I was thinking, so what you have, what we received from the state, because for sales tax, the people pay the state
Right.
and then the state turns around and pays us.
Right. So we're
And
two,
so it
that's a
has
2 month lag period. I
yes.
just didn't know.
So what we receive in August is actually for June sales. So the second Wednesday of September is when we'll get those numbers. Yeah. So you have your written packet, and just to give you the numbers for hotel motel tax was up 7.4% for the month, and sales tax was up 14.5%. You don't have harbor in your packet this month just because budget and the harbor entries did not get to be made, and I did not want to give something that was not complete for the month. So didn't get to them until today. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to address.
Anyone? Thank you. Chief?
And just for the record, until people start marching in the streets and burning buildings, you don't know where you fall on the totem pole. So,
You don't know what?
where you fall on the totem pole. Busy July, but pretty much uneventful, which is good. Seeing lots of people in town. I think the highlight is that we got a parking enforcement guy up and running. We got him trained up. He's on the beach and started on July 20th on his own without on his training. He's working part-time, and I checked today, and as of today, he's written 400 citations. Or 200, I'm sorry, 200 citations. So he's out there hustling. He's still trying to learn the business. He came in and apologized to me today because there was some 75-year-old woman out there on the beach celebrating her birthday, and he didn't write her a ticket. He let her go buy a new. So
Zero
he's
tolerance.
learning. He did well, but he's good. And
What are the hours? He's flexible.
Yeah, we're requiring him to work the weekends. So at least 4 hours on Saturday, and at least 4 hours on Sunday. We ask him to work a minimum of 20 hours a week and no more than 32. And the rest of the week, I mean, he's actually been working 6 hours on Saturdays and Sundays, and then another 20 during the week. And
So will he stay, now will his hours decrease or stay the same throughout the winter months? I can't remember what was.
I think he's part-time, isn't
yeah,
it?
I know, but I mean, we're probably coming back to about
I know,
20
but
hours.
I mean,
during
he has
the winter.
20 to 32,
Yeah,
so.
I mean, he was.
But I increased the budget next year.
Okay.
Yeah, he was.
So, all right, that's why
Does
that's
he
why I was
have-
going with this.
Does he have code enforcement experience?
No.
No, but I think maybe you make him a code enforcement person when in his thing, give him a full-time position. When he's
Probably not the
writing
right person
tickets.
for that.
Okay,
He's
got it.
in his niche right now. He's in the.
Well, I mean,
perfect spot for-
it's good that we have someone that's in their niche.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah, he's.
if he continues, is he interested in more hours if we get it in the budget eventually?
I doubt it. He's 65,
I'm
67, retired Navy.
Just asking questions
This
here.
is, he just kind of.
We don't discuss that.
He's bored. Yeah, he's bored and looking for something to do.
Yeah.
Just to let y'all know, that budget line item, I put $123,000 for salary in it next year.
Oh.
So he's gonna get a big raise?
Well, because it's-
Working with more than one person.
Right, that's good. But I mean, but you feel I mean, based on what you're telling us, he's been very effective.
He has far exceeded our expectations.
Okay.
He seems to enjoy it,
Well,
and
that's what I
he's
mean.
good at it. He's good interacting with the public. He's still learning all the rules. So
Well, yeah, I mean-
Oh, come on, but this is fish in a barrel, man. You know, come on.
Well, he was upset today because he had been out there for 4 hours and only written 2 tickets. So he's I've been up and down the beach and everybody's in compliance. I said, when you're doing your
He's
job,
he
that's
gonna
good.
be the same one doing the perpendicular parking enforcement?
Yep.
He will be part of that. Yeah, we'll expand his duties. We're kind of getting his feet wet right now. And we're just asking to do beach parking permits and nothing else right now.
Yeah,
But if
that's
we go to the
another
red
one.
stripe type of stuff, he'll probably respond to those. He'll respond to complaints for vehicles parking in handicap zones and those kind of things in the future. But we're gonna walk before we run.
But I mean, he'll be like fully ready to go for next spring, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So there won't be.
Yeah, we're gonna keep him on during.
Well, I'll
the
do
winter.
that, but I mean, I just want to make sure he's gonna be fully trained to do everything that he's capable of by spring break.
Yeah, it's just a matter of teaching a couple.
Oh,
of
yeah, no, I
ordinances.
figured
It's
that.
not a
Yeah.
steep learning curve by any stretch.
Do you think we have enough signage on the roads now for the golf carts still on 361, or do we need to add any more?
I don't think there'll ever be enough signage.
I tell people to keep things in perspective, right? We have 5,000 golf carts registered in the city. If we have a 99% compliance rate, that's 50 violations a day. So, it's,
So since we are talking about golf carts, one of the things I've seen quite a bit this summer, and this kind of scares me, is infants being just held like this. Can we make sure, can you guys kind of really, because I mean, that just scares me to death.
and if you decide to go down that path somewhere, the infants don't belong on a golf cart period. The child safety seats are not designed to restrain them. The seatbelts aren't designed to restrain them. But that's a policy decision you all have to make. But
Yeah, right now it just says no person may ride in the lap of a driver or any other occupant.
You know what the new thing is now is that the person standing on the back.
Oh, there's nothing new about that.
Yeah, that's the new
Yeah,
deal.
then they can do the wheelies going down the.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, but that's just like
yeah.
that.
But we have, despite what you read on social media, we have pretty good compliance. I mean,
I know.
Moses walked down the mountain 2,000 years ago with a tablet that said, "Thou shalt not kill," and that's probably the most heavily enforced law in the world, and we still have murder every single day. So we're never going to be 100%.
I understand that, but that's just one of those ones that an infant can't, has no clue what's going
Yeah,
on.
right now that's a 0.
Yeah.
Let's get a couple numbers.
But the lap riders,
Unrestrained child, under 4.
I mean, but it is a fairly common.
well, and it depends on how they're keyed into that system also.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So,
Just call CPS on them.
thank y'all.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
EMS.
Come on up, Ed.
We're on the topic of the budget. Can we get some money for some sweet shirts like that?
Yeah.
Some spring break tees. First, we'd like to thank the councilwoman. She did approach me, caught me outside City Hall. I want to make sure you know that our staff has always been very appreciative of the support we've gotten from the community, from the council. They're very proud of the system we built, and so don't have any worries that we don't appreciate everything you guys done for us. So I'm gonna absolutely make sure that was clear. This last month, 172 calls. These guys really worked it. We saw that Friday, Saturday, and Mondays were jam-packed for us. And I'd say over the last 3 weeks, of course, an uptick with our COVID calls. And so we're doing everything we can to protect ourselves, to keep everybody informed on where they can get treatments and vaccines if they want them. I'm hoping that I think the county had a projected graph, and at some point that's going to top off, and we'll start to see those numbers fall. But other than that, we said we've got our systems in place to do everything we need to do. We're still good on PPE. We're following our procedures. These numbers here on the reported residents 10 just last month, but there's been a significant amount in the last 2 weeks. And we follow procedures for that as well, notifying dispatch to mark those addresses, and it gives us a heads up and officers a heads up if they have to report to those areas so we can be prepared. So.
Can I ask a question in your letter? It's just one thing that says, while a dual unit response has been successful, crews expressed concern regarding safety aspects of both units running hot. Can you elaborate on that? Please?
Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of research. We every 2 years, we update our certification for ITLS, International Trauma Life Systems, and that kind of is a worldwide organization that keeps us up to date on the newest and best practices in regards to trauma. And something that they updated was evaluating our what's typically a hot response to every call that could dispatch lights and sirens. And people say, why are you going lights and sirens to a jellyfish thing? We don't always get the most accurate information. And I don't blame the dispatcher. You only get so much from the person over the phone. And a lot of times those come out as, there's a lot of blood, and we don't know. Could it have hit our artery? Sure, for the stingray. Could they be having an allergic reaction that's causing them to anaphylaxis? Sure. So we don't take any chances. We don't try to just from our dispatch notes say, well, maybe we'll take our time getting there. We always respond as though it's a critical emergency. But we do recognize that it can put the public in harm's way and our safety as well. And it's kind of a balance we look at.
Well, sure. I mean, I just understand, because I'm down at basically GNL just about every day there.
Yeah.
I hear when y'all are coming through and the sirens are running, and that's how y'all get the lights. So I'm just trying to figure out how not running with lights and siren would put you in, or how running with lights and siren would put you in.
What we're seeing with the dual responses, people are expecting the first unit and they're not expecting the second unit.
Got it.
So they heard the sirens.
Okay.
They saw the first unit. Oh, it can go now.
Got it. Okay. I understand.
So my guy,
Right, so it's when they're running tandem kind of.
Right.
Okay, so that's the thing. That's where the confusion was. When you're running hot, you're running 2 units. So yes, they see the first one, get out of the way, and then you drive through both the intersection, and then the cars start
Correct.
going, and then there's another unit
And
right behind.
so some advice I've gotten from the large system was, well, don't let them take the same route. So that's easy to do. We're kind of a small, there's not many ways to get where we're going. And so in larger systems, you also have dispatchers that are emergency medical trained. They can get that information and kind of make an initial, hey, this is not a hot call. You guys
Right, I understand that. I just cleared. It wasn't clear to me. It was because you're running 2 units is why there's an issue. Okay, got it.
And so one little thing we are updating is our hot responses in the core of the city, especially during high traffic times. We're going to pay special attention to our speed, the traffic signs, and then doing what we call a single lane clearing. So you go through a multiple lane intersection, you clear every lane as you go through, as opposed to, making a quick check left and right and clear every lane. So it slows our response down mildly, but it is the best practice for hot response. So. And so if it's a response in this core part of the city, we're not expecting any huge delays in response time for that. So, but it was part of the ITLS update that the providers consider, reclassifying what calls may be a hot or cold response. But with the way we're set up, we're not saying that we necessarily should do that. We're just going to respond as we do always, everything hot, with special attention in times of high traffic, and then that second unit in the dual response, using their best judgment. If obviously something comes out like man down, of course, both units are going to run hot. But if it's something like a lift assist, most likely what we're going to do is the second unit is going to run normal speed. And when the first unit gets on scene, saying, "Hey, this is something serious," bump it up, or get here when you get here. So
sure. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
It was unclear. I didn't need clarification.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. You
Thanks,
guys
sir.
have a good night.
Item 11, any city council comments or items?
Got a question. What are we doing, city parking permits? Are we going alone? Are we raising the rate? What
Or
do you-
we, say that again?
Beach parking.
beach parking permits?
Oh, we, yeah, after Labor Day, I'm meeting with, Peter Zanoni.
Okay, because I read in the paper that we were pulling out and then.
No,
So-
all we simply said was, in accordance with the contract, we're supposed to meet every 6 months, which we haven't been doing. Let's get together.
That's fine.
So
I
that
just
was all that was
I
discussed.
did write a response to the following.
And then you give it to Dale Rankin.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I read it, we were pulling out, so I was like, oh, so, we raising the rate, we doing our loan, because we did kind of mention that. and I
No, we
wasn't
bring it
sure.
back to you guys. All we're discussing right now is just the allocation of funds.
Thank you, sir.
But I'll definitely bring it back to you guys because you guys are the approving body, any such action.
I was wondering about that too.
Yeah, that's
And
not
nobody
something
ever
I-
reads the
yeah.
retraction, so.
Correct. Yeah, you're right.
I read it.
All right, Joe, you're one of the few.
Ed, tell me how cold it is in this room.
Meat
Well,
hanging gold.
seriously, give
What
me a.
what is it? What is it?
Right there.
Yeah, right.
75 in here?
70 flat.
Flat, 70
flat.
degrees.
It should be,
No wonder
it
it's freezing.
should be 73.
Hot as hell in here.
No, it's not ever.
Oh my gosh,
freezing.
it's freezing.
All right, any other comments?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to say good job to the fire department for putting out fire at the entrance of Island Moorings yesterday. I think there was a down power line and they got it out pretty quickly.
Wonder where they were.
Yep.
And happy birthday to my mom tomorrow.
Okay, any others? All right, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye, Joan.
Bye,